Muchas gracias la prisión.
아니.
와 콧소리 에바야.
난가?
당신이야 당신.
알았어. 숨 안 쉴게.
딱 좋아.
야 이길 때까지 숨쉬지 마. 오늘은 진짜 이기자. 3대1 3대1 어때?
오케이 콜.
네. 아까 형이 밑에서 말했지만 우리 잃을 거 없어 얘들아. 네. 형이 스피드 저도 최소 애결 보낼 테니까 일단 편하게 해봐.
와, 저 말을 여기서 듣네. 진짜 뭔가 딱 믿음이 가.
셋!
세션. 세션.
뭐 계단 타기야?
다시 한 번 더.
셋!
세션. 하나 둘 셋. 파이팅.
거의 다 붙어 있어서 위험 구간 들어갔을 때 조그만 실수만으로도 두 순위, 세 순위 바뀝니다.
스피드 지금 라인 교차해주는 거 굉장히 좋았어요.
다원이 안 맞나? 응. 잠깐만.
끝까지?
빨려.
아직 몰라.
응. 다원이 대 상대형 잡았어. 상대야. 나이스. 이거 제 뒤에 볼게요. 뒤에 꼬이게 해놨어. 야 하나.
퍼센트 근데 날 꼬였어요. 이 라인 날 꼬였어요.
또 한 번 연속 헤어핀 구간에
커버 쳐놨어.
최단 18.
일단만 해. 뒤에 작업이다.
18.
막았어.
뒤에 작업.
나이스.
자 남은 시간 이렇게 와 통보 센세이션.
와
병수.
이겼어. 앞에서 뛰어.
네 마지막에 좀 기어갔어. 너무.
그치. 야,
네.
내가 스탑이었어 그래서.
잘했다 여기 진짜. 땡겨.
까비.
괜찮아.
잘 끌어놨다.
아이템 따자.
가비.
되겠어. 형이 애결 보내줘야겠네. 애결 할 준비하고 있어.
태경 올려드릴까요?
올려줘. 빨리
나-
빼줘봐. 아니야 갈게. 뒤에 봐봐.
그래 가봐.
되나?
하나 떨어지고 나이스.
해보자.
천사 불러봐. 우리 셋이 해야 돼.
나와.
천사 한번 쓸게요 형.
자.
나야 돼.
와줄 수 있나? 일단 쓰고.
내가 해볼게. 꼴찌물 안 보여.
용준이 먼저 해. 나 어떻게? 1파 대기 부르면 알.
나 먼저.
1등 들었거든? 영훈이 형 빨리 하면 알.
짧게 그냥.
째면 돼. 예, 쨘다. 1미했어.
부산해줘야 돼.
번개까지. 뛰었어.
그냥 가.
그리고 게이드
나이스.
뛰었어.
나이스. 와.
번개 깝이다.
이거 진짜 나 최대한 늦게 한 건데 안 돼.
와 근데 번개 진짜 아깝다.
내가
걱정
천사
마세요.
없어서 그래 우리가.
너 자신 있어?
나는 정말 되게
가위바위보. 괜찮아? 나? 내가 해? 하고 싶네. 나? 살짝 오늘 좀 그래. 내가? 택시 나가달래.
누구 나갈래? 내가 나가?
나갈 사람 없으면
눈치 게임?
병수 어때 컨디션?
근데 만약에
아니야 너 좋으면 너가 나가도 돼. 아니면 너가 별로면 내가 나가고.
그냥 반반이에요.
야 이긴 사람이 나갈 거야 질 사람이 나갈 거야?
지는 사람이 나가야죠.
진 사람? 가위바위보?
누가 졌어? 형이 졌어요?
첫 번째 랩에서 내가 어떻게 플레이해야 될지.
자 코너에서 눈치 싸움 끝에 다시 한번 거의 비슷하게 동방.
밀어붙여야 되는데
호흡이 올라왔죠.
자 타임이 더 있습니다.
슈로
슈로
있어요.
있어요. 타임을 받았을 때 눌러줘야죠. 오른쪽 라인이 열리지 않도록
사람을
하지
들어.
마야 돼. 과연
하던 대로만 하겠습니다.
성배 1등 고정하고
더도 말고 덜도 말고.
그래. 우리 이거 승률 100%임.
오케이. 하던 대로 하면 되겠다.
파이팅.
초반에 광동 상대 괜찮은데
위험하죠.
놔두지 않습니다. 퍼센트. 야 과감했죠. 이거 초반 진입 구간에 왼쪽으로
나이스. 계속 가. 내가 뒤에 봐줄게 이제. 앞에서 쳐. 1등 작업 일단 할 때.
들어왔어. 나이스.
막아.
야 1점만 잡고 있어봐.
네 지금 뚫렸어 나.
실수만 안 할게 성빈아.
천천히.
이제 못해. 꼴찌 고정. 나이스. 앞에 봐라. 나이스. 맞아. 이거 앞테리아 조심.
짝으로 이렇게 편안하게 들어옵니다.
나이스.
야 초반 순위가 근데 좀 아쉬웠다 이거. 사이드 좀 사이드.
네.
오케이 같이 맞았다.
나쁘지 않다.
오케이.
일단 내가 쏠게. 오케이. 궁템 많이 나온다.
가드 미사일.
먼저 쏴.
먼저 쏠게.
뛰었어.
커피 허센트 띄울게.
1등물.
띄우고.
못 잡았다.
일단 한 번 더 쏠게. 제가 바리 깔게.
오빠 있어.
한 명이 빨고 붙자 일단. 한번 붙을게 나. 오케이.
나 장이야. 나 파리.
일단 안 가. 일단 가자. 나이 탈까?
타봐.
지금 칠게.
얘 가사에 탄다. 오케이. 나 한번 쓰고 간다 그냥. 해지 마감 챙겨줘.
혼자 해야 돼. 혼자 해야 돼.
네네.
물만 봐줘. 물만 봐줘. 물만 봐줘. 아. 나 투브거든?
오케이.
이동 한번 쏠게 나.
이거 뗀다. 상처.
1등 빨아놨어 내가.
빨리 안 친다.
빨리 맞춰. 쏘리.
손빈! 갑자기 손빈!
나 잡으라서 이겼어.
금열의 칼날은 너무 무딘데.
김열의 칼날이 혹시 그거 약간 드립이구나. 방심하지 말고 끝까지 하자.
어떤 상황이 와도 끝까지 해 얘들아.
시작한다.
파이팅.
Muchas gracias la misión. Hechos para nosotros. 템 챙기자 뒤에는
다리
이제.
깔게 피해봐.
다리 깔래.
발이 살아있고.
동문아 쉴드 버리고 템 챙기자.
야,
사이즈.
가능?
그냥 쳐.
잘.
물 버릴게.
우준이도 템 챙겨와야 돼. 1등 안 갈라 그런다.
이거 물 버릴 테니까 사이드 가능?
사이드 가는. 나 우주와.
지금 사이드?
엠마 먹었다.
나 우주 맞고. 오른쪽 파.
이거
골등
계속
잘
챙겨줘.
주고.
이거 나한테 맞춰주라 얘들아.
우주 하나 두고 갈게.
나 우주 오고. 템 챙겨봐 얘들아. 매겼다.
질러 까나 그냥?
해지
갇혔다?
챙길까? 해지 바꿔. 갈템 먹고 해지 바꾸래. 우주 내가 우주 쏠 거야. 자 대기. 거리. 그냥 해. 나 부스 떼줄까? 떼봐. 방금 나야.
야 빨게. 그냥 나 들려 형. 형 이겨야 돼.
걸칠까? 그냥 가.
렌즈가 그러다 들어갑니다. 렌즈!
야 우리 좀 비켜 있어 줄래? 괜찮아. 진짜 부담감 갖지 마. 너 아이템 잘했으니까 얘기한 거야.
쪽은 상대 라인을 좀 보면서 아예 다운시키고 도망갈 수 있으면 도망가는 이런 판단을 많이 하는 선수이기 때문에 엑시트 플라이도 너무 무리해서는 안 돼요.
싸울 수 있어야 돼요.
네.
에시드 플라이.
자 드림이 좀 세게 들어갔었어요. 또 선수가 근데 그걸 본인도 알고 있다 보니까 근데 뉴커팅 좀 많이 해야 되거든요. 이러면
지금 붙는 순간에 오히려 쫑이 부스터 상황이 불리하단 말이에요. 에시드 플라이가 하나 더 앞서고 있습니다만 살짝 넘어가거든요.
자 이거 이렇게 되면 마지막 타임 보겠다는 건데 엑시트 플라이 깔끔하게만 가면 됩니다.
에시드 플라이가
자 거리 있거든요. 근데 마지막 감 찬스.
하고 들어서 끝을 내야 될 나라이 밀었죠. 현수가 들어옵니다. 135.
뭐네 그냥 애초에
헬로.
할로.
나 카메라 또 나온다. 카메라 또 나온다 이거. 아니 카메라 왜 이렇게 또 가깝게?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the KDL Preseason. I'm State. With me is Peter. We got another packed audience here in Seoul, Korea tonight as we continue the preseason with 2 more team matches and the round of 16 solo losers match. So a lot on the line today. Some of these players in the individual league, they are going to be going home, and I cannot wait to get started. How you feeling, Peter?
I'm feeling great today. We have so many great teams, especially top 3 already that's moving on to the postseason playing today, meaning we're going to have some of the highest quality matches I'm super excited to see, especially Guangdong Freaks versus Finale, because I am a Finale fan right now these days.
Oh yeah, Banana, he's so easy to root for. The Freaks, of course, one of the best teams in the world, absolutely. Maintaining their undefeated streak, as here we have a quick overview of the team match portion of this league as we are getting ready to go towards that postseason. As it is right now, Peter, 4 teams have confirmed their spots. They've clinched their spots in that postseason. Those teams are the FREECS, Liiv SANDBOX, ROX Esports, and Aura. But still playing for seeding right now. And for a lot of these teams that, you know, they're not going to qualify for the postseason, you still want to end the preseason here on a high note. You know, you want to show that you have the strength, you have the fortitude to excel when the next season comes along.
For sure, you definitely want to secure yourself that 40 million Korean prize one pool. And as we take a look at the standings, right now we have Gwangdong FREECS, Liiv SANDBOX, Aura, and ROX securing that top 4 spot to be able to move on to the postseason. And today we have Finale Esports. They are knocked down by a round point.
Finale Esports, they're all the way down there in 7th place, so KWANGDONG FREECS versus Finale being our first match here of the day is going to be a little bit lopsided on paper, but I mean, upsets have happened before. We'll see if it happens again, although I gotta say, Peter, it does feel like right now the KWANGDONG FREECS are unstoppable. So far, undefeated here in the the preseason, as they only need 2 more match wins to go for a perfect 7-0 heading into the postseason. And then, of course, following that match, should be another exciting one. Liiv SANDBOX versus ROX. These are 2 postseason-bound teams fighting it out here in the second team match of the day.
For sure, it'll be exciting to see a bit of a sneak trailer into how these teams are performing so far. And, of course, we'll be having the losers match solo, which is going to be a treat to watch. Yesterday, we've had such a close tight battle. It went all the way to 10 tracks, and that was so crazy.
I was watching that one back at home, and it was an exciting one. You know, it felt like there at the end, almost anybody could win, but let's save that for later now as our players here entering the stadium, being greeted by the fans. Of course, a lovely audience here in Seoul, Korea, ready to root for the KWANGDONG FREECS. This is a team of 4 aces. You know, they have 1 speed ace, 3 runners, but it really does feel like this is a team of 4 speed aces. As they've proven that if you have the talent, you can make a 4-man roster work in this format to perfection. And Finale, they have their work cut out for themselves today here if they're going to take the KWANGDONG FREECS on.
Yeah, Finale, they have a 5-man roster having the Item Ace and Banana, but so far they haven't had a lot of success in the speed mode because they actually have 0 set wins in the speed mode so far out of the 5 matches they've played. So today, if they're able to take speed set against KWANGDONG FREECS, that would be a huge upset and their best chance at taking the FREECS down.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I think, you know, the potential with this roster, it's there. You know, Finale, they have a lot of talent even being here in the KDL preseason, but the FREECS are just on another level here. I'm not sure they're going to be able to defeat them in speed mode. I think if you're Finale, of course, you know, you're out of postseason contention. You want to still finish the season here on a high note, and beating the #1 ranked team right now in the world, the KWANGDONG FREECS, would be a great way to do it. So for them, probably their game plan is going to be try to win there in item mode, let Banana's game plans carry you through, and then go to an ace match where anything can happen. But, you know, the FREECS, they want to continue improving their skills and maintain their winning streak as, I mean, we just keep saying it, so far undefeated. I don't know if anyone's going to beat these guys, and they are determined, saying right here they will do their best, ready to fight until the very end. They're not phased by just confirming that #1 spot for the postseason. They want to go even further. They want to go perfect here.
Yeah, fighting, it is a term in Korean basically like, hey, let's all cheer on and do our best. So showing a lot of high morale for the KDL preseason so far, definitely. KWANGDONG FREECS is the team that should have the highest morale out of all teams here as we take a look at Finale Esports. Their average ranking is not that great.
Average ranking isn't that great, but I love this little clip from them at the top. Do you want to step on and slip? I assume they're talking about Banana.
Yeah.
The red pepper powder flavored Banana is ready, so I guess he's spicy in Finale. You know, you can already tell they kind of are thinking about that item match mode already, because the FREECS, although they do feel infallible in speed, you know, maybe Banana, with all his personality, all of his game sense in item mode and his prowess, can lead Finale to an ace match where, you know, upsets have happened in the future, but against the FREECS, I mean, this is truly a David versus Goliath match right now. Of course, Finale Esports only ranked 7th overall here in the KDL preseason. As Peter, let's take a look at our speed track list here for the first match of the day.
So we have Desert Construction Chaos being first picked by the Guangdong Freaks. Not a best news for Finale, because if they want to have a chance to win in the speed mode, they would have liked to get that first pick, but it went over to the Freaks. We have Boom Hill Tunnel and Terracotta Twister for them as well. Terracotta Twister, a very popular track choice for speed mode.
Yeah, it's a very fun one too. I'm a little bit sad that this is going to be picked to round 5 because I feel like with the mismatch of the Guangdong Freaks and Finale Esports, we probably aren't going to go to a track 5 in speed mode. I mean, the Freaks are just frankly too good to allow that to happen. It would have to be a crazy upset, but it should still be a fun race regardless. You know, I can't wait to have Banana come out there in item mode and see if he can force an ace match. And for the Freaks right now, this is them starting to build their legacy here in Kart Rider Drift Esports. You know, they were one of the best teams in Kart Rider League. Obviously, that is carrying through here in the KDL as we start a new year for Kart Rider Esports. A lot of fans in the audience coming out to support their favorite players. And Peter, I think we're almost ready to go into track number 1. KDL Preseason continues on here this Sunday in Seoul, Korea, as we move to Desert Construction Chaos.
We begin our track number 1 between Guangdong Freaks and Finale Esports, and this is Guangdong Freaks' track of pick.
Yeah, Guangdong Freaks gonna be really happy to play here on Construction Chaos, but you know, it feels like they're happy to play almost anywhere. As you see, already off to a fantastic start here. World, the speed ace for the Guangdong Freaks right up there. The head of the pack with SUNGBIN, trying to give him a little bit of space here, catching up to Striker, but you know, Finale, they got a little bit of fight in them today here. Yoon and Vanilla close behind.
Yeah, Striker had an amazing block on SUNGBIN there, but SUNGBIN does manage to find a way to pass him. Now holding that 1-2 for Guangdong Freaks. Striker definitely got to break that formation.
He's gonna try his best.
Yeah, he tried his best, but he hit the wall, and that completely stopped his momentum. Now only Yoon is up there to try to break the 1-2, but there's Spear who's going to be blocking out Vanilla.
Spear coming in here on the flank and to try and do his best to enter the fray here and provide some assistance here for his teammates. And Yoon, for now, holding first place.
Oh my!
Ooh, that was some nice blocking there by Yoon. Yoon, speed ace here on Finale, showing why he has that role. As heading into track number 2, he's all the way up there in first place. But as I say that, Peter, I mean, they just keep trading hands here at the front. Spear and SUNGBIN close behind.
Yeah, you can see the strategy for Guangdong Freaks is to really focus on that 1-2, while Cool and World, they are just going to be doing a lot of sweeping mainly. And I believe as we get closer to the finish line of this final lap, we're going to see Cool try to come up and also contest that 1-2 even heavier.
It's a little bit of a tough position here, though, Finale with Taman all the way down there in 8th place. You would like to see him start to close the distance on World and Cool heading into the final sections of lap number 2. But the Freaks, I mean, they're just so good. They're so solid. Look at the space that SUNGBIN has right now. This body blocking here from Cool is out of this world. I think we actually lost a little bit of a shot there, but Cool just continuing to pose problems here as a big collision. It's going to slow down Cool, but right now, I mean, it's a 1-2 game here for the Freaks. 500 meters to go.
Yeah, Cool completely threw chaos into the back line of Finale, and you can see the distance for SUNGBIN and Spear. It's nowhere close to breaking that 1-2, and Guangdong Freaks with an expected dominating performance right now in the speed mode against Finale.
Yeah, and some great teamwork there at the end, especially in lap number 2 with SUNGBIN and Spear. They were the players on the Guangdong Freaks that were in the best position to kind of go for that play, securing the 1-2 win. And, you know, Cool, he came in, he created trouble, and he just caused, as you said, as much chaos as he possibly could to give SUNGBIN and Spear the space that they need, and almost a full second between 2nd and 3rd place right there. So that's a very solid win here for the Freaks, starting off speed mode in our first match of the day.
Yeah, and Spear, not only was he able to secure that 1-2 in 2nd place, he also had fantastic blocks that bought himself time in the first place, and it gave room for Cool to catch up, which eventually he used fantastically, getting so many sweeping done, and that's why I feel like Guangdong Freaks decided to use a cart build of 6-2-6-0, putting some points into that acceleration, because they can afford to take the collision, since they will be able to recover much faster than Finale, who is rocking that 6-0-6-2. And track number 2, this is Finale's pick, so hopefully they'll be able to find a comeback angle in Mine Gold Rush.
Here we go on Mine Gold Rush now as Finale's gonna try their best to close the distance here, but the Freaks just continuing their dominance from track number 1 with Spear and SUNGBIN. This 1-2 punch here at the front of the pack. Already contesting Vanilla, Yoon, and Taemin as the Freaks are in, once again, a dominating position. You gotta watch Cool right here as the Finale players really bunched up. Some nice blocking coming out of SUNGBIN, and now he's trading places there with Cool. And you see Cool sweeping a little bit there. He's trying to block Yoon as best he can. The speed ace for Finale getting denied as the KWANGDONG Freaks, they're trying their best to create space, but Taemin and Striker able to thread the needle a little bit there. It's them in the top 3 positions here, chasing Spear.
Yep, we were definitely seeing a repeat of the strategy we've seen in the first track, where Spear and SUNGBIN was really heavily focusing that 1-2, while Cool and World were focusing on sweeping. But it's different now because World is in first place. SUNGBIN, he took a bit of a collision, he fell back, and it's given Striker the room to try to break that 1-2.
Yeah, and SUNGBIN, he doesn't seem too keen on sweeping just now. He's just trying to close the distance. He takes a really tight inner line there, creating more space. And you already see the gap between World and the remaining players from Finale. And, you know, the Freaks, you harped on this earlier, talking about their 6-2, 6-0 build. They're not afraid to go for the team fight. They're not afraid to make connections, create collisions, because they can rebound from those better than Finale can. And so far, I mean, this body blocking is insane.
Yeah, Spear's getting in the line of Striker. Not only that, the 3 full lineup of Finale, making sure that they don't have an easy drafting range. And now we see Yoon, he's the only one that's broken into top 3, but that 1-2 is still so dominant for KWANGDONG Freaks.
I mean, look at the space right now between the 1-2, and Spear once again comes in. And this is an even more dominant track number 2 here on Mine Gold Rush for the KWANGDONG Freaks, as they just continue to flex their muscles here in speed mode. One of, if not the best speed mode racing team here in the KDL preseason, continuing their dominance, continuing their path towards perfection, going up 2-0 here in speed mode against Finale, and obviously feeling fantastic. A lot of smiles here on the KWANGDONG Freak roster as, I mean, we were talking about how, you know, in track number 1, it felt pretty dominating. This one felt even more dominating here for the Freaks.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 5 is pretty much ideal when even 1, 2 is enough to get yourself a win. Really showing how heavily KWANGDONG Freaks is able to control the standings here. Fantastic sweeping, making great usage of their cart builds as we take a look at the replay. This is the moment where Yoon, he tried to get across, but Cool, he swerves right into his path.
Yeah, Cool, just some fantastic racing from him. Get another shot there of him swiping into that path of Yoon, slowing down the speed ace of Finale. And this is what KWANGDONG Freaks does so well. I mean, you look at their roster, and officially they all categorize themselves as either speed ace, world, or runners. But this is a team that can truly do anything. It's why they excel so much here in speed mode. It's why they are so far undefeated here at the KDL preseason, as they look to carry on their dominance here, looking for the speed mode sweep on Village Boom Hilltop.
Off we go into speed round number 3. This is match point for KWANGDONG Freaks, and they are also on their track of choice, so Finale has a lot to prove.
Yeah, we'll see what Finale's able to do. One of their better starts so far with Taemin and Yoon contesting spots right here, and let's see if they can do a little bit of zoning, a little bit of sweeping. There actually no SUNGBIN with the inner line. You can see Taemin, he tried to body block him, tried to give Yoon a little bit more space there to contest Cool at the front of the pack, but now it's actually SUNGBIN joining Cool, drafting off of each other, trying to close the distance.
Yeah, we see Cool getting a lot of great blocks there on that 3-4 position, wanting to keep that 1v1 between himself and Yoon. As we take a look at the track, there's a lot of zigzags here.
Yeah, I'm actually liking this little picture-in-picture of the track view there. That's something that I haven't seen before here on the KDL broadcast, as the production just continues to get better. Now Cool holding on to that number 1 spot. You can see Yoon trying to pass him at any possible turn. Finally does get the breakaway there. Striker going for a little bit of blocking, but I mean, the Freaks, they just gel together so well. And you can see right there as we have a collision there. I think, was that a Finale racer going down?
Yeah, it was from Finale, and now it's Taemin who does manage to step up to the plate. Spear, he does get a bad collision that sets him back. Now Yoon, if he takes that first place position from SUNGBIN, that could have been enough, but SUNGBIN is the one that maintains the lead for KWANGDONG Freaks, and that is going to be the 3-0 finish.
Yeah, one of the closer races of this set so far is Yoon just a fraction of a second away from catching up with SUNGBIN and, you know, putting Finale on the board there in speed mode, but instead, with a point score of 20-19, KWANGDONG FREECS are going to sweep the speed mode as we get ready to go into item mode. And I mean, for Finale, getting 3-0'd against the FREECS, obviously it's not what you want. You want to at least walk away with a 3-1 here and improve your round score a little bit, but their winning condition coming into this series, it was always going to be relying on their item ace Banana coming through with clutch play calling in the item mode to force an ace match. So, you know, for them, I would like to see their chins held high, try to regain their confidence here as Vanilla is swapped in for that item ace Banana. And I'm happy to see them smiling a little bit because, I mean, you know, you come in against KWANGDONG FREECS, the best speed racers in the world here. It's a tough opponent to beat here for Finale. So let's see what they're able to do here in item mode. I'm curious what kind of tricks they have on their sleeve.
Well, we do see the spicy pepper banana coming in. This was the mention from Finale themselves, putting a lot of emphasis on their item mode, which I definitely see happening. As we take a look at the item track list, great news for Finale. They do have the first track of choice, which is going to be London Night, followed by Pharaoh's Pass and Magma Cavern.
Yeah, so Finale taking the 3 picks here in item mode, clearly prioritizing that overall. FREECS map choice will be Mushroom Caves and Cogwheel Crush, so getting a nice little spread of a lot of different biomes, a lot of interesting, you know, different views here in item mode. Is, you know, I don't know if it's that item mode tracks are prettier or if it's just that we're racing slower so we can appreciate them more.
Right.
But yeah, it should be a fun time, and I want to see what tricks Banana has on up his sleeves, as I said, because, you know, he's coming through with a kind of interesting build here. You know, a lot of times we see people roll with something like a 5-3-6-0, where you prioritize speed and acceleration a little bit more because, you know, boosts, they're not as common in item mode. Obviously, you can't build those up with drifts. Actually, hold that thought. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we get ready to go into track number 1, World Tour London Night. The action continues on here with the KDL Finale Esports start a comeback. And we're off here in London as our racers are fresh out of the gates. He's slowing down here his spear, picking up a couple of items. Gets a couple of nitrous there, so will speed himself up. But, you know, as this is kind of a marathon, not a sprint here, I just want to go back and talk a little bit about the item builds coming out of Finale, because it's kind of interesting to me that they're not really optimizing speed and acceleration as much as the FREECS, who are all rolling with a 5-3-6-0. Banana actually opting for a 4-0-6-4, so only 4 points in speed, 0 in acceleration, 6 in boost speed, and 4 in boost duration. So I'm kind of expecting to see Banana to be the player that Finale is going to try to get in position towards the end of the track, ideally with a nitrous and a magnet, because, I mean, a 6-4 boost combo is just going to outspeed everybody else on the track if you're in a good position to use it.
He is the item ace, so we can definitely trust him on those strats. He's going to be looking for the magnet and the booster combo to especially utilize that build. We are currently in the 2nd lap, and across the board, we are seeing a lot of magnets, which is what we want to see in the current meta. And there are 1 angel each for KWANGDONG FREECS and Finale.
Yeah, so relatively balanced items. Actually, no attacking items at all on the board for either of these teams. They're all just kind of happy to accept the positions as they lie. Some of these items will get rotated out. SUNGBIN now picking up an EMP. But, you know, coming here into lap number 3, you don't want to re-roll too much because there's only so much track left before that finish line. You kind of want to hold on to the nitrous and the magnet unless you're going to be playing more of a supporting role here for your team. And, you know, Banana right now in 5th position, that's not really good in, you know,
here we go, though.
The rankings, but here we go. Only 300 meters left. Taemin does get bogged down. Actually, Banana there with a big boost is going to propel him across the finish line. And I was seeing him there in 5th place. Was like, okay, well, you would like to be a little bit closer to the front of the pack, but actually, that 6-4 combo. 6 points in boost speed, 4 points in boost duration, and he has a massive nitrous to just propel Finale to put themselves on the board here in item mode, going up 1-0 against the FREECS. And I mean, this is what Banana kind of brings to the table. He's the wild card here for Finale. got a big personality, got a big brain too. Cooking up some creative builds is going to finish about almost a half a second ahead of the leading racer there for the Freaks.
The concerning point for me there was everyone had magnet and boosters, and there was only one angel each for the teams.
Yeah.
And that really opened up for the missile to come in, and it was able to knock out a member pretty much right as they popped the magnet. So it really opened up the field, less people trying to go for that magnet rush, and it was Banana who managed to hold on to his magnet rush till the last moment, coming in clutch for a finale, and they definitely needed that win because they want to continue this dominance and try to get to the ace match as we get ready for track number 2, Forest Mushroom Caves. Off we go into round number 2 of item mode, finale up 1-0 against Guangdong Freaks, and this is Guangdong Freaks' track of choice.
Yep, here on Mushroom Caves, this is a 2-lapper, but a little bit of a longer lap than London Night, so should be a fun race to go into as all of our racers here just kind of coming through this beautiful sightline. Man, this looks like a wonderful place to take a hike.
Wow.
Got these mountains, beautiful walking path here, all these rivers and water. It's a gorgeous area here. Hey, SUNGBIN right now. And first place, World gonna slow himself down a little bit. Try and set up for the water balloon. Actually does get it there on Banana.
Yeah, World timed it perfectly.
Yeah, of all the players that you're gonna hit, I think Banana right now should be the target of choice for the Guangdong Freaks, considering that he does have that 6-4 build there and boost. And it's been kind of interesting to see, you know, the meta develop here in item mode, because it's kind of a mixed bag in terms of what you really want to go for here as we get to lap number 2. I mean, we talked a lot about how players would, you know, just go for the wombo combo of the nitrous and the magnet, which is still a winning combination, but you know, I love the creativity that we're seeing out of Finale, opting for these builds. I mean, no racer on this team here for Finale Esports in item mode has the same cart build setup, so they're really trying to play to each other's strengths, and yeah, we're starting to kind of get into the area where these players, they're not going to want to rotate their items too much.
The barricade earlier completely destroyed the momentum for Guangdong Freaks, but now they were able to come back, slowly creep up, still putting pressure on Finale as we see SUNGBIN taking a nice lead for himself, and Finale, they do have a lot of magnets, so they'll be able to catch up. SUNGBIN with the Angel dodges that water bomb beautifully. There's a magnet on him now, however, so he's going to get slowed down, and he actually crashes into a obstacle. Now it's Spear able to come in along with Cool, securing a nice win.
Oh, that was some heads-up play there by the Freaks. The magnet came in, just slows himself down, allows Spear to come in from the outside. I think with the nitrous to secure the win there for the Freaks, as Finale was not able to get Banana into a striking position there. And you know, that was one of those situations, kind of the opposite of what we had on London Night, where the way the item builds were kind of shaping up there at the end of lap number 2, it didn't feel like the teams really had the items that they wanted to have in their bag. So, you know, Spear coming in from the outside there with the nitrous, able to deliver the win, tie this one up 1-1 there for the Guangdong Freaks, as they're looking to close this one out with 2 more track wins.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the magnets were really utilized by Finale there, and Guangdong Freaks able to recognize that. I'm sure someone made the shot call, hey, just press the back button. Everyone's still using their magnet on you right now, and using that perfectly. We saw 2 members of Guangdong Freaks pretty much being able to take a clean 1-2 as we see a replay of some of the water bombs happening. These were really timed well.
Yeah, it's such a heads-up play here by SUNGBIN.
Yeah, SUNGBIN.
No, I'm not going to give any more energy to you guys. I'm just going to opt out right here. You're going to lose your momentum there with the magnet, and man, this is a trick that we haven't seen too much here in the KDL Preseason so far. So the item mode meta just continuously gets deeper and deeper. Well, we're tied up 1-1 here. The best of 5 turns into a best of 3. Both these teams need 2 more track wins to secure the item mode. Let's go to Desert Pharaoh's Pass. And we're off here. Finale desperate to get another track win to go to match point here in item mode. Try and force that ace match here against the Guangdong Freaks, the Freaks themselves. would love to try and close this one out with a clean 2-0. With speed and item.
Looking spicy with the double missile. He uses one of them to catch World off guard. Now it's Yoon and Banana in the lead.
I love Banana just kind of swiping over there to the right to try to do a little bit of body blocking. Does miss it though. SUNGBIN slows down, avoids that water balloon, as we just have more items getting traded out here. And this is kind of the way that we see things often go here in item mode is, you know, there's a lot of attacks that come through in the early game because with so many laps left to go before the finish line, there's a lot of race left to be played. There's a lot more items to be shuffled through. But, you know, now that we're here on lap number 2, I wouldn't be surprised to see that start to slow down a little bit. These teams are going to start prioritizing the magnets. They're going to start prioritizing the nitrous, the angel shields, and trying to figure out, you know, which racers on our team are going to be the ones in the best position to propel themselves across that finish line, and who's going to be gunning for a little bit more support.
Speaking of Angel Shields, it was only Guangdong Freaks that managed to pick up 2 Angels just now. Finale sitting on 0 Angels. Okay, now Yoon, he's finally picked up 1 for his team, but they are still behind 1 Angel. Now they were able to force one out of Guangdong Freaks as we move on to the final lap.
This is kind of crazy. Banana's the only player right now so far with a magnet, and we're on lap number 3, so some of these nitrous, I wouldn't be surprised to see them get shuffled out. You see Striker on the board. He tried to go for 1 instead, picking up a water wisp. Everyone hugging the wall will avoid that water balloon, but I'm a little bit curious about how this is going to go. Okay, Banana pops one of his UFOs. That's going to put him in first place right now, and he actually has both a magnet and a nitrous here coming into the final lap, and keep in mind, his boost is the best in the business, so let's see if Banana can actually use that here. 200 meters left to go. Angel Shield's popping off, but actually it's going to be Spear. Banana loses all momentum there, and the Freaks are going to go up 2-1 here in item mode, going on a match point.
A disaster for Finale. We thought this is where Finale could have a bit of an advantage over Guangdong Freaks because although Guangdong Freaks so far haven't lost a single whole game, they haven't been winning every single item sets. And so far, Guangdong Freaks not only 1 win away, they were able to secure a really nice win coming in from Spear. A full 2-second lead before that second place. He had his handle on that booster really nicely.
Yeah, there was so much action there at the end that I actually didn't fully realize what happened there to Banana because, you know, he had both the nitrous with a 6-4 in boost, by the way, and the magnet. So I was expecting him to contest that final finish line, but he just wasn't able to make it happen as we're going to go through the replays here.
Yeah, he got boofed off way out of line. That really killed momentum. And Banana, he had a magnet on him, and it seems like that really killed a lot of his momentum. Or he decided to press decelerate in order to not give that magnet advantage over to Guangdong Freaks, but maybe some miscommunication because other members of Finale were not really there to be able to step up and try to contest for that first place. Now we are moving on to Guangdong Freaks' choice of track, Factory Cogwheel Crush. Here we go into item round number 4. This is a potential match point for Guangdong Freaks.
Yeah, match point here for Guangdong Freaks as they would love to close this one out with a 3-1 win here in item mode and continue their perfect run here in the KDL Preseason without needing to go to an ace match. And Finale, you know, right now they're just playing for glory, trying their best to go home happy here, mathematically eliminated from the postseason, but you know, coming up here against the Freaks, the best team in the world, you can kind of make up for a little bit of that pain of not making the postseason by coming through with an upset. It's just the Freaks, they've been so solid, even here in item mode, winning 2 of the first 3 tracks. And I love how their position's looking so far. I mean, World and Cool, they're in a nice spot here.
Yeah, and they managed to use a missile to slow down Yoon, so it's going to open up. Wow, nice dodge on Banana there. It was really sneaky.
Yeah, that Banana pop, I'm like, oh man, I was really expecting Yoon to actually hit that one, but no, just able to avoid it on the inside as we continue here.
Oh, nice water bomb, and we saw SUNGBIN actually completely stop to dodge that one, so nice shot calling from the Guangdong Freaks.
Guangdong Freaks, I mean, they don't have an item ace. This is a team of, you know, 4-speed specialists, it feels like, but they're just so good at Kart Rider that they can truly do anything here. And see all these racers slowing down as, you know, pulling away from the pack with magnets
Yep.
in Frey isn't often a winning combination up until the very end. So we'll see exactly how this one's going to shake out. So we're about halfway through the second lap here.
Yep, our players were really focusing on trying to deny the item collection coming in for each of the players, but now we are starting to get a bit concerned. Right now we see a bunch of Angels, Banana gonna get stopped out by the water bomb. Now it's Yoon at the front along with Spear and SUNGBIN.
And Banana falling all the way to the back means he's not going to be the one that's going to try and finish the race here. It's going to be probably Yoon and Taemin here gunning for the 1 spot. Taemin with 2 magnets. Yoon with 2 nitrous. I bet they wish they could share those right now.
5. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 5 for Guangdong FREECS. They're looking so good right now. Striker coming in, but Spear took that top path. Collision happens. Now it's World with the Angel, able to ignore the water bomb and speed across, locking in a 3-1 victory for his team.
Yeah, Banana tried his best to make up the ground there and come through with a clutch win, but it's going to be World finishing in first place, securing the 3-1 win here in item mode for the Kwangdong FREECS as they continue to go perfect here in the KDL preseason. 6-0 now overall in seasons. Only one overall in series, excuse me. Only 1 series left to play. As I mean, what they're doing right now, it's just out of this world. I mean, this team is a must-watch team right now in KDL.
Yeah, Guangdong FREECS looking real good right now. So far, we thought Liiv SANDBOX might be the team to be able to put a really nice challenge for the Guangdong FREECS, but actually, they were able to ace that challenge with Seungha, who was sitting out. So now, really the only question is, who can possibly challenge Guangdong FREECS? Is it Liiv SANDBOX now with Seungha back?
Yeah, maybe. Potentially we will get that rematch here in the postseason when it comes, but for now, the Kwangdong FREECS, they are just on top of the world. 6-0 overall in matches, winning the speed set 3-0, the item set 3-1, as the FREECS just continue to march on. And, you know, we were thinking that maybe Finale with their item ace Banana might be able to force an ace match here, but the FREECS, they're just so good, so well-rounded. This team is playing out of their mind, frankly, here in the KDL preseason. It's so thrilling to watch them every single day. I'm so happy when I get to cast their games. It's been, as you said, a treat. I mean, they're just on top of their game right now, on top of the world. And they are the team to beat.
Yeah, and so far, Guangdong FREECS, they've gone to ace match only twice in this preseason. And both times that they went there, they've also won, which is why they have that 6-0 flawless record right now, showing almost an impeccable record when it comes to matches revolving speed or ace matches. And so far, even in the item matches, they've won 4 out of 6 sets, which is incredible because at that point, you can only say that item mode is perhaps the weakness for the FREECS, but even there, they're doing phenomenal so far.
Yeah, and it just really goes to show how well-rounded this team is and how versatile every single player is, because you watch them in speed mode, it's not just one ace who's trying to gun for the #1 spot every single track. They're happy to interchange just based on the way that things kind of shake out. You'll see Cool sometimes run away with it going first place. Other times, as he was today, he will just be, you know, sweeping and swiping and blocking everybody else out, providing space for the Kwangdong FREECS racers at the front of the track. And I mean, it's just been a winning combination for them. And, you know, generally speaking, the meta logic in Cartwright esports is that you don't want to run a 4-man roster. You want to run a 5-man roster to have someone who specializes specifically in item mode when it's in the league. And it's kind of a faux pas to not do that for a lot of these teams. I mean, Sensation's one of those teams that we kind of talk about. All right, they don't have an item ace. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they're having problems right now in this league. But the FREECS, even though they have what feels like 4 speed specialists, they're just all individually so good and so talented. And clearly the communication is there. The teamwork is there. They're able to deliver not only in speed, but also in item mode so consistently that I don't know who in the world could stop them. I mean, on paper, I would think it has to be Liiv SANDBOX, but the FREECS already dispatched them earlier in the preseason. We're going to see if they're going to do that again in the postseason if we do get that matchup, and man, I really hope we do.
Yeah, we've already built so much story and rivalries here in the post or preseason, and that's what's really exciting because now we're finally getting those tickets punched in, the teams locked in for the postseason, and honestly, outside of that even, going back to everything we've had in the preseason so far. You know, teams like FNL, they haven't really had a successful season, I must say. They've shown us definitely a lot of good sportsmanship and some really clutch moments in item mode. But so far, looking at the potential next seasons coming in, you know, you can definitely feel the gap right now between these pro and amateur teams. So the homework here basically is fixing those mistakes. You can't have a weakness. You can't be weak at a particular mode. You got to have the item aces if that's your problem. Like, for instance, teams like Sensation and ROX. ROX being a team that's actually moving to postseason, but they're known for having a bad item mode.
Yeah, this is something that often happens in new esports. You know, Kart Rider, I mean, it's not necessarily a new esport. The game has been out for months. Kart Rider esports been around for decades. But, you know, KDL is brand new. Kart Rider Drift, relatively, you know, in the decades of esports history, is relatively new.
Right.
So I would expect to see more parity as we continue through with a year of Kart Rider esports, and maybe that gap is going to shrink a little bit. I love what you said about homework, because it certainly does feel like some of these more amateur teams, while they do seem to have the potential, it's going to take a lot of practice to actually close the gap between titans of the game like the KWANGDONG FREECS or Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, and KWANGDONG FREECS, honestly, so far they've shown, as you said, even without having an item ace, they're looking impeccable even in the item mode. And it really comes down to the fact that they're all great speed players. And on top of that, it seems like they have a really good cohesion with each other. They're running that strategy where they like to go for that 1-2 a lot. And of course, when you play these games, not every time will you be able to maintain that 1-2. There could be collisions, personal mistakes. And whenever that happens, there's cool to step up to the pass and suddenly deny that 1-2 for the opponent, securing that again. The sweeping ability is also phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, we just continue to harp on it, but this team is so good. So unbelievably good. I mean, you could take any of the players on the KWANGDONG FREECS roster, and if you planted them in any of these other teams that we have here in the KDL preseason, they very much could be the speed ace of that team. You know, it's a team of nothing but aces, it feels like when you watch them. And they're aces that are versatile as well. I mean, Jong, we watched him race for ROX esports, and it feels like he's one of the fastest players, you know, in the world. He could probably hang with the FREECS in an ace match. I would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the versatility that they bring to the table, as you said, you know, with Cool being able to come in there and sweep and swipe, and same thing for everybody else from the top of the roster down to the bottom. It really does feel like that, as we're waiting for the Korean broadcast to finish up with the interview here. But it's just been a great start to another day of KDL preseason, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get ready for that postseason. It's going to be so hype.
You have to start wondering, with the dominant performance that the FREECS had, do you have to consider a new cart build meta? Because we've seen them prioritize putting the 2 points into acceleration often, and it really helps against those collisions.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to be it for us for now. When we get back, our second team match of the night, don't go anywhere.
빵드래
특히나 오늘 루닝이 어려울 때마다 지금 상위권을 계속 찍고 있는데 지금도 코스 얻어서 원투를 유지하고 있어요.
코스가 지금은 계속해서 블로킹을 해주고 있는데 뒤쪽에서 드래프트 타이밍 한 번만 봤더라도 바로 1위까지 도달할 수 있는 거리거든요. 가드와 퍼센트가 뭉쳤던 건 좋지 않았습니다.
그리고 띵글도 올라왔는데 일단 가드가 한번 끼어들었어요.
자, 순위가 너무 안 좋기 때문에 가드는 좀 과감하게 가거든요. 이거는 단순히 한 명 역전하려는 게 아니고 전체적으로 꼬이게 만들려는 전략이에요.
무리해야 된다고 말씀드리려고 했을 때 호준이 완전히 큰 사고에 휘말렸던 것 같거든요.
퍼센트 아래쪽까지 내려왔고 몸싸움 통해서 한번 더 스피드를 뒤로 밀어내고 있는 띵이었고요.
띵이 진짜 순간적으로 이거 바로 뒤쪽 가드라인 너무 좋았어요.
띵 진짜 좋네요.
상황에 따라서는 가드가 스탑까지도 불사하면서 순위 완전히 어그러뜨릴 수 있습니다.
그러니까 달리는 선수만은 아니거든요.
그렇죠.
가드가.
자, 하지만 그걸 루닝도 어느 정도 알고 있을 것
밀어야
같은데.
돼요.
오! 완전 됐죠.
완전히 공중에서 밀어서 바깥으로 떨궈 버렸네요.
이러면 순위가
원투
이거 완전 가요 매부시.
드랩 자 원투
맞아요.
스피드
이렇게 해서 센세이션.
마지막에 근데 리브스의 집중력 좋았을 때 원투를 무조건 만들어야 되는 상황이다 보니까 최대한 라인 블로킹을 해줬었는데 그걸 또 침착하게 센세이션 선수들이 뚫고 올라가 버리죠.
자, 월드가 1위를 하고 있습니다만 사실 편안한 1위는 아닙니다. 뒤쪽에 초롱과 코수 인수도 다 붙어있고.
뭐 트랙을 생각해 보면 누가 1등해도 이상하지 않을 만큼 다 이게 워낙 인기 트랙이기 때문에.
그렇죠.
자,
아슬아슬하게 풀을 떨어졌고
떨어졌지만 들어왔는지가 중요하거든요.
이게 타이밍상 무조건 들어왔을 건데 지금 거리 차이 이 정도면 서로 다 할만하거든요. 풀은 여기까지.
와 그냥 올라오네요.
터널에 잘 진입을 해서 그냥 들어오네요. 와.
야 이거 불안해지는데 이거 6라운드 만에 끝나는 거예요?
방금 전에 일부러 안쪽으로 들어가는 게 아니라 그 다음 드래프트 타이밍을 기다린 것 같거든요. 이렇게 들어가려고.
또 밀었어요.
이렇게까지 과감하게 한다고요?
근데 아직까지 버텼었는데 월드가 또 파고들고요.
자, 서로 뒤에서 약간 드랩 타이밍 나왔을 때 과감하게 들어갑니다.
드래프트 타이밍 콜이 뒤쪽에서 또 보고 있어요. 이거 인코스 열리면 쭉 들어가거나 아니면 뒤에 발랐을 때
막힐 것 같은데요?
바깥쪽으로 빠질 수도 있습니다.
초롱이 살짝 라인이 막히면서 본인이 원하는 만큼 가지 못했거든요.
자, 전 2위 썸은 지금 현수와 월드가 붙는데 쿨이 올라오면서 월드 바로 뒤쪽.
근데 월드가 살짝 뒤로 눌러놔서 예상치 못한 4위.
그러면서 현수가
뒤쪽에 있는
월드 현수를
경기 끝납니다.
이런 쿨이 그대로 경기
여섯 경기 만에
그냥 끝.
첫 부스터를 모으고 그 다음에 쓰면서 다시 한번 부스터 게이지를 모으는 과정이 쿨이 정말 빠르네요. 그러다 보니까 순위 초반 스타트와 상관없이 앞순입니다.
최근 쿨이 좀 다른 그림을 많이 그렸는데 이번에 오늘은 또 달려나가는 모습도 있고 여기는 뭐 누가 앞으로 가도 아무 상관이 없네요.
네, 그리고 성빈이 이렇게 드래프트 받을 때마다 앞쪽으로 치고 나오는데 앞쪽으로 치고 나온 이후에 인코스를 살짝 열어둔다면 그거 함정입니다. 잘못 들어갔다면 거기서 경기 터져요.
자, 그래서 에시플라이는 지금 뒤를 볼 거 없이 앞쪽만 바라보고 가야 되는데 이거 정말 무섭게 상호가 이빨을 늘어 내밀러 가거든요 지금. 살짝 또 누르고 갔어요.
아 그리고 엑스플레이 한 번 더 버티면서 위쪽으로 올라가고 있습니다만 순위 자체가 지금 너무 안 좋아요 플랜이.
그리고 2위에게 드랩을 걸 수 있는 타이밍이 안 나오고 거리가 안 나오기 때문에 쉽지 않을 것 같습니다.
너무 멀어지는데요. 이거 계속
이것이 스피턴이다라는 걸 보여주네요.
누구한테? 포센트한테?
아마도요.
네.
또 하는데요.
아 이거
그냥
그냥 마는데 스피어.
스피어 유창현의 윷놀이가 시작됐습니다.
결국 월드 쿨 스피어까지 원토스를 그냥 잡아냅니다.
유창현 스피어가 원래 이렇게 화려한 퍼포먼스까지 보여주는 선수는 아니거든요. 그만큼 여유가 생겼고 그만큼 실력에 자신이 붙었습니다. 자, 그렇다면은 근데 트랙 생각해보면 호준도 그러니까 예전부터 잘 달리던 트랙이기 때문에 자신감 있게 주행을 할 거예요.
근데 루닝도 안 밀립니다.
위험 구간에서 오히려 앞쪽 먼저 선점하고 계속해서 스탑하면서 호준의 심리적인 압박을 이용하려고 하죠.
쫓아오란 얘기죠. 얘기는 루닝은.
그리고 루닝 나 언제든지 이런 플레이 할 거야.
또
이거
제가
너무 좋아요 루닝도.
자, 호준이 어깨를 내밀 때마다 루닝 게스트를 맡고 있는데 한번 뚫었죠.
네, 이게 오히려 잠자던 사자를 분노케 할 수도 있는 거거든요.
자, 좁은 지역으로 이제 슬슬 다가갑니다. 일단 호준도 넘어갔고. 왜냐면 호준도 이런 도전 좋아하거든요. 나한테 많이 공격해라, 내가 버틸게 이러면서 갑니다. 자, 위험한 지역을 일단 살짝 지나갔을 때 루닝은 뒤에서 일단 바라보고 있어요.
위험 구간에서 호준이 갑자기 스탑할 수도 있기 때문에 확실하게 내가 역전할 수 있는 구간이 나오기 전까지는 드래프트 발동되더라도 속도 조절하겠다라고 생각하는 루닝이에요.
과감하게 아웃으로 빠지면서 최대한 감속하기. 하지만 호준도 눈치챘어요. 아직까지 한 번 더 버팁니다. 마지막 세 번째는
자, 이제 위험 구간 들어갔을 때 루닝이 거리 감사를 어떻게 유지하냐가 중요합니다.
서로 그냥 눈치 봤어요 지금까지는.
서로 살짝 긁었고 자, 스탑할 수 있기 때문에
여기.
순간적으로 드랩 받아요.
여기서 타이밍 서로 막히고요.
룰이 버텼죠.
마지막 드랩을 호준이 한번 받을 것 같습니다.
몸에 뒤에 아직까지
자, 거기면은 지금 겹쳤는데 루닝 끝까지 라이브로
다음 드랩
근데 붙잡자 봐요.
리브 최루닝.
와, 호준을 상대로 단 한순간도 주눅들지 않았습니다.
호준의 공격을 피하지 않았고 오히려 본인이 주도권을 가져갔고요. 정말 무섭게 성장했네요.
드래프트 구간이 그 드래프트 타이밍이 거기서 호준이 소모하면 그 다음에 기회가 없다는 걸 정확하게 알고 있었어요. 트랙에 대한 이해도도 기가 막혔습니다.
뽕의 리브 샌드박스 현재 이 상황에서 좀 어렵긴 어려워요.
방금 전에 드래프트 이용해서 닐이 합류하는 장면 예술이었죠.
자, 뒤쪽에서도 공격적인 상황도 많이 일어나는데 앞쪽 이번에 샌드박스가 주도권을 가져갑니다.
가장 좋았던 것은 쿨이 어차피 러너로 뛴다는 걸 아니까 현수를 일찌감치 앞쪽으로 빼줬다는 점이에요. 1대1을 만들어주고 있죠.
그런데 현수가 뒤쪽에 살짝 부딪히면서 빠졌고요.
자, 그러면서 성빈 스피어가 올라왔거든요. 이렇게 되면은 쿨이 조금만 더 시간 벌어주면 인수들이 이번에도 약간은 좀 힘겹게 끌려갈 수 있습니다.
리브 샌드박스가 지금 미들 순위가 탄탄한 편이 아니기 때문에 1대1 싸움에서 이겨내야 돼요.
자, 버튼 올라왔죠. 인수딜.
와, 이게 솔리드 프로인가요? 다 막아버렸는데요.
자, 파리가 멀긴 합니다만 원투가 깨지는 순간에 전체 순위가 요동칠 수 있기 때문에 이거 끝까지 봐야 돼요.
스피어가 날카롭거든요. 아직까지 한번 바라보고 있습니다만 인수가 1위를 달려나오고 있습니다.
마지막
저돌. 그러면 이러면 누구?
광동! 야, 기가 막힌 한 방이 있었네요.
어떻게 이렇게까지 계산을 해서 만들어내나요?
피어니까 가능한 판단이었고 몸싸움이었고 스탑이었던 것 같습니다.
와, 이 벨트 구간에서 자체 실수들은 많이 하는데 이렇게 스탑을 해서 순위 터뜨리고 이기는 거 처음 봐요.
Hello and welcome back to the KDL. We are getting ready to go into our second team match of the evening. Liiv SANDBOX versus ROX Esports. I'm State. With me is Peter. Just had an excellent match number 1 with the FREECS versus Finale, but now 2 postseason bound teams, SANDBOX and ROX Esports, going head to head here. Should be a lot of fun.
And there's really great news for Liiv SANDBOX, and it is that Seungha is now back playing in their speed modes, which is what they want because that's the original lineup that they intended to play with, and that's the lineup that they were winning with until the mishap happened against Guangdong.
Yeah, and it's good to see Seungha back there, coming out on stage, feeling better from his injury. It's probably going to be a big morale boost here for Liiv SANDBOXes. They were having to run previously Jimin, their item ace, in speed mode, which, I mean, Jimin, he's a good player, so of course he's able to do that, but it's not your ideal setup. But now that Seungha is back and fully recovered, having him back as your sweeper and Jimin as your item ace should be where the FREECS, or not with the FREECS, excuse me, I'm still not done talking about him from our first match, where Liiv SANDBOX wants to be. And ROX Esports, another one of these pro teams bound for the postseason.
ROX, they have been looking pretty shaky when they first came into the preseason, but they've been stepping it up. Dutzy and Vega improving and their ability to support Jung, contesting that top 1-2, and they absolutely want to improve on that because their opponent is the absolute boss in the speed mode.
Oh yeah, I feel like if ROX Esports was a rock band, Jung is like the lead singer and everybody's just trying their best to support him because this guy, undefeated so far in ace matches, 4-0, a big part of the reason why ROX Esports is going to the postseason. But Liiv SANDBOX, another team kind of like the KWANGDONG FREECS in that they're very versatile, they're very flexible, they can play all roles. I mean, NEAL himself, a world champion, not only here in Korea, but on the global stage. Royal Rotor, both here and abroad. There's so much talent here on this team.
Yeah, and Hyunsu and Sunga had a first and third place average speed rank, showing a lot of preference for that 1-2 strategy. As we see, we'll finish it without an ace match.
Yeah,
My goodness.
They really want that to happen too. I don't think anyone here on Liiv SANDBOX wants to go into an ace match against ROX because you know they have the ace up their sleeve. You know Jong is waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
And he has proven to be a force to be reckoned with. No one has been able to stop him in aces, and it's one of those wild card situations here with ROX Esports where, you know, they're not as perfect or as solid as Liiv SANDBOX might be, as the KWANGDONG FREECS might be in speed mode or in item mode, but having that ace is so key, and they say right there they're in high spirits, looking to score their 5th win by defeating a tough opponent, and this should be a stellar match.
So as we've been pointing out Jong, Liiv SANDBOX also knows that Jong is the ace for ROX. They gotta watch out for it because in their taunt messages, they said we'll finish it before we go to the ace match. They actually mentioned Jong's name in Korean. So it was like a double meaning, Jong's name and also finishing it. And as we see ROX saying, don't blame yourself, believe in yourself.
Don't blame yourself. maybe it's them telling themselves to believe in themselves. I'm not sure exactly about that one. It's just one of the more interesting team quips that we've had so far in this league. You know, sometimes it's almost like playing a game of telephone, you know, with the way these things go. But ROX Esports, they should be feeling confident. I mean, if they're able to win at least one of these sets, the speed set or the item set, they have a chance of winning the match because Jong just seems out of this world right now in aces, 4-0 overall. He's been, you know, the ace in the hole that's won them truly every single match so far that they've played.
Liiv SANDBOX, they are able to get that first track of choice. It is going to be New York Rally, followed by Zigzag Timberland Extreme Stadium. Interestingly enough, Liiv SANDBOX banned both tracks from Village.
Yeah, that is an interesting choice. SANDBOX prioritizing speed, going for 3 out of the 5 map picks there, as we're getting ready to go into track number 1 already, Peter. World Tour New York Rally will be the track. ROX Esports versus Liiv SANDBOX. Let's get to it.
In our speed round number 1, we start in a track chosen by Liiv SANDBOX themselves, and I assume they're going to go for that 1-2 right off the bat.
Yeah, they're definitely going to go for it. But for them, I think the name of the game here, if you're Liiv SANDBOX, is to use the Park-Soo duo, use NEAL, try your best to keep Jong in check. Because I feel like in positions like this, where Jong, well, for a moment there, who was in 4th place, are kind of misleading because this guy, I feel better than almost anybody else individually in the league, is so good at closing ground. And I mean, he was in 4th. You look at the leaderboard right now, he's almost up there in 1st. He's right behind the Park-Soo duo.
Yeah, Insu and Hyunsu, the duo, definitely doing all they can to keep Jong at bay. They know he's the main danger from ROX they gotta watch out for, but Dudsy coming in, he was able to block out Hyunsu's line a little bit, buying time for Jong to get into that 2nd place.
A lot of fight here from ROX right out of the gates here in lap number 1 of this one-lapper. World Tour New York Rally as Insu holds on to that 1st place right there. Hyunsu, he's continuing the battle here, using some nice drafting to get back into 2nd place. And LSB, if they can hold on to this position, should be in a good spot heading into the final section of this track.
Yeah, Hyunsu, he's in the draft range of Dudsy. He wants to be using that sparingly for when it really matters. Now we see Spell coming in, supporting Jong. This is what we talked about, Spell and Dudsy really stepping it up. As we see now, Insu still maintaining that 1st place. Sungha, he's really trying to get into that 2nd place, but it's ROX actually holding that 2-3-4.
Yeah, ROX with a 2-3-4 finish, actually. Oh, wait, hold that thought. It wasn't a 2-3-4. They still got the win. 2-3-5-7 coming out from ROX. For a second, I saw Sungha there barely moving to 4th place. I was wondering, okay, wait, is that actually enough points for Liiv SANDBOX to get the win? But no, it's going to be ROX walking away with track number 1 here in speed mode. And I mean, we've been talking a lot about how their team is building confidence around having that ace. I mean, having a player like Jung on your roster takes a lot of the pressure off every other individual racer. And as a result, I mean, overall, they've been improving probably among the best with them, which is saying a lot considering they are postseason bound.
Yeah, Spell and Dutsy coming in to contest that 2-3 was absolutely pivotal because they won that track with just a point lead as a whole team. And honestly, this is really concerning for Liiv SANDBOX because they said that they don't want to go to that ace match. And so far, if this is the trend that continues to happen, it will happen.
That was their track pick too, wasn't it, for Liiv SANDBOX?
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right, well, let's see if they can turn it around as we get ready to go to track number 2. Liiv SANDBOX down 0-1 versus ROX Esports as we move to Mine Gold Rush. ROX Esports with some clutch racing and good teamwork in track number 1. Able to take the win. Let's see if they can go up 2-0 here against Liiv SANDBOX. You would love to take that lead here and get closer and closer to at least forcing potential ace match.
Saw Jung taking actually a collision into his own teammate, and he managed to fall back all the way to 8th place off of that. So a lot of weight on Spell, Dutsy, and Vega to buy time for Jung to try to catch up again. And Liiv SANDBOX, they're all getting cornered up right now in the line of Spell. He was able to block 3 members alone.
Jung, he's so good. He's already back in contesting higher positions here, going from 8th to 6th despite that little hiccup there at the start. As we continue on here, Liiv SANDBOX trying to take a tighter line is Hyunsu, but unable to pass Duchi for the time being. Very close though here at the front.
Dutsy definitely tried to go for the body tackle to throw off the lines, but it didn't really happen. Right now we're seeing a 2v1 bullying Dutsy back into that 3rd place.
Yeah, Dutsy's doing a pretty good fight right here. See him take that inner line yet again, but I mean, this is part of the problem with NEAL doing a little bit of sweeping there to give Hyunsu some more space to work with. Dutsy still in drafting range, though, will be able to come in with a nice line there. A little bit of body blocking, too, as he pushes Hyunsu back. Hyunsu just trying to fight to take pole position here. But, I mean, Liiv SANDBOX, they really want to secure that 1st place spot. I mean, they could win it if they're able to secure something like a 2-3-4 here, but if you're LSB, you want to pass Dutsy there in 1st place. And now that Jung is all the way back in the top 4 too, it's a dangerous situation here for LSB.
Jung doing some fantastic blocks on the 3 members of Liiv SANDBOX in the back. Now it's Dutsy in the lead. 1-3-4 being held by ROX. Now it's all Dutsy versus Insu in the front. Spell trying to tackle out Seungha. And we look at Dutsy coming in with Spell. 1-2 finish for ROX without Jung in the lead.
Yeah, that's some fantastic teamwork, man. I mean, there have been rumors about these guys just continuously improving, in particular, you know, Vega and Dutsy, but also Spell stepping up here with a 1-2 finish. Gonna give ROX track number 2, and you gotta think now, if you're Liiv SANDBOX, this is, I love that from Dutsy. We only need 1 more track win to win speed mode. And for Liiv SANDBOX, I mean, this is not gonna be the situation that you want. Already down 2-0 here in speed mode. It is now match point for ROX Esports. If they win 1 more track out of the next 3, they're guaranteed to at least go to the ace match, potentially putting themselves in position to win in item mode.
I think the key point in that match was ROX. They were able to find so many clutch blocks and was able to block 3 members of Liiv SANDBOX alone because we saw too many lines overlapping from Liiv SANDBOX. They were all trying to do the same thing, and just 1 member in ROX was able to completely intercept any of that from happening.
I love these little fans of some of the players keeping themselves cool here on stage. Well, let's see if ROX Esports is going to be able to close it out here with a 3-0 in speed mode as we move to Forest Zigzag Timberland.
Off we go. This is the match point for ROX, which is super exciting because up till now, Liiv SANDBOX, they only dropped 1 set point in speed mode against KWANGDONG FREECS. Now the question is, will they do it now against ROX as well?
Yeah, the pressure is on. You can see Liiv SANDBOX, they're fighting for their lives here in speed mode. Of course, all is not lost. This is a team that is powerful in item mode as well, but you got to know that with Seungha back here in the fray, back here racing with them in speed mode. They want to do him right. They want to give him a warm welcome back here to the KDL Speed with a win. But ROX Esports, I gotta say, they've been playing very well so far. And look at them again right now. It's Jutsi and Spell here contesting the top spots with NEAL.
Jutsi has absolutely been stepping it up so far against Liiv SANDBOX, constantly making sure that Liiv SANDBOX cannot get that 1-2 easily uncontested, as we see SUNGBIN now stepping up to the plate with Hyunsu. We are going to see a lot of body fight collisions trying to ruin each other's lines.
Yeah, and Zigzag Timberland, that's kind of the name of the game here with all of these cuts and turns. A lot of collision potential here as Jutsi not really taking the body angle line too much to try to block SUNGBIN. SUNGBIN is going to be able to take the pass there because of it. So now Liiv SANDBOX NEAL in a pretty good position right now in first place, outside of drafting range from Jutsi, just barely.
Yeah, and this happened in solo match as well. Once NEAL gets the lead in Zigzag Timberland, he rarely gives that up. So I feel like a lot of the focus now has to be Dutzy and Jung coming up to make sure they at least secure that 2-3. And it's really up to Spell and Vega to get out of that 7-8 position, because even with 2-3, ROX is behind 5 points.
And you can see SUNGBIN doing his best to try to provide some support here for NEAL in first place. But now it's Jung hot on NEAL's heels. Liiv SANDBOX, though, holding 3 of the top 4 positions. Will be in an alright spot, even if Jung is able to take that first place, so long as they're able to maintain parity.
Yeah, Vega, he hasn't been able to find the angle with Hyunsu and Insu blocking him out. And Spell is just so far behind, constantly being stuck in that 8th place position. Jung is doing all he can to try to block out the line of SUNGBIN to prevent the 1-2. That's pretty much all he can do for his team right now.
Yeah, Jung, he's gunning for that first place, but with Jutsi, Vega, and Spell right now at the bottom of the standings, this feels all but assured that Liiv SANDBOX is going to walk away with a win here. NEAL, I mean, Jung is not going to be able to catch up to him. He will finish in first place, and it's a 1-2-3. Easy win there for Liiv SANDBOX as they put themselves on the board now, 2-1 in ROX's favor.
NEAL is so good at Zigzag Timberland that I'm starting to wonder if it might be one of those tracks that you must ban against Liiv SANDBOX. He had such a huge lead there, just like the lead that Spell had in that last place. It was not really a top form, I must say, for ROX in this track.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually setting a new record here is NEAL with 221.039. Coming through with some fantastic racing. And I mean, the fact that SUNGBIN is just a smidgen behind him too just goes to show, you know, what a commanding position Liiv SANDBOX was here in Team Speed on Zigzag Timberland. And I like what you said, because it does feel like NEAL is one of the specialists here on this track. So, you know, playing their strengths right now is Liiv SANDBOX. We'll see if ROX is going to be able to close it out. They have 2 more chances. 2 more opportunities to win 1 more track and secure the speed mode victory.
Yeah, it's still match point for ROX, so there's not a lot of pressure on their backs. And luckily for them, our track number 4 is picked by ROX themselves. It is going to be World Tour Terracotta Twister.
Off we go in track number 4 here in speed mode as ROX looking to recover from a 1-track loss there and secure the 3-1 victory.
They are absolutely securing that 3-1, but Vega, he dropped in the position. Now it's a 2-3-5 position for ROX. It was really looking good because they had like a 1-2-4-5.
Yeah, I like their position here in the front a lot, but you know, Vega not even being able to contest position number 7 is going to complicate things a little bit here for ROX. As we'll see if Jutsi is able to pass Insu right now, who is racing his heart out here coming into the inner tomb section. Actually, some nice collision there is going to push SUNGBIN off the platform, and so ROX getting some counterattacks in here.
Oh no, Vega! He had some lead off of that. There were 3 members of Liiv SANDBOX all the way in the back, but Vega, he loses momentum and he falls back to 7th place again, but it's ROX with that 1-2. It's all about Insu trying to deny that.
And with that collision there on SUNGBIN, pushing him down into 8th place, I mean, now you have a little bit of some compensation there for Vega's early hiccup, and ROX in a commanding spot here in top 3. You can see Jung pulling away from the pack. Spell and Ditzy doing their best to support him right now. They do not want to let Insu close the distance. Insu, I feel like he's just dodging and weaving like a running back here, trying to close the distance as best he can, but I mean, it's so difficult here for Liiv SANDBOX coming into the final stretches of lap number 2.
Spell, he actually had a big collision and he fell back really far. So now the positional advantage for ROX is really gone. Only hope is Jung at the first place. Dudsy, he wants to go for that 1-2. Into right now, blocking him out from doing so. As we see players, they're taking their turns and the beautiful lines are coming in.
I think we might have seen another player drop down there into the tomb, but that's neither here nor there, as we only have 500 meters left right now. ROX in a commanding position. Jung needs to hold on to that first place, and it looks like he will. If ROX is able to maintain positions
Vega,
4 and
no!
5, but
You
no!
can't lose that
Liiv
position!
SANDBOX comes through! He gets past! Hyunsu passes Vega, and that's gonna be the track going to Liiv SANDBOX by a hair with a 20-19 score.
The NEAL and Insu duo, they were able to block out Dudsy, locking him into 4th place, and that really lost a lot of point advantage for ROX. And man, Vega falling behind Hyunsu into 6th place, that really sealed the deal, giving that 1-point lead for Liiv SANDBOX, and they're able to tie it up 2-2.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the final match here in speed mode as Liiv SANDBOX, they are looking to secure that reverse sweep. And I mean, SANDBOX, they've shown a lot of prowess in item mode. They would love to win here in speed mode and continue the dream of avoiding a potential ace match here against ROX.
I like that flex from NEAL, just showing off his Cartwriter Jet player card, saying, yeah, it's me, I'm NEAL. I'm here to win for my team, Liiv SANDBOX today. We are right now tied 2-2, and we really want to win in Glacier Extreme Stadium. Kicking off speed round number 5. We are in the track chosen by Liiv SANDBOX, so ROX, they have a lot to prove here.
Yes, they do. Seungha, the sweeper for Liiv SANDBOX, off to an early lead here in first place. Hyunsu right behind him. I'm liking this early setup here for Liiv SANDBOX. We see Seungha try to do a little bit of blocking there, try and make room for Hyunsu, the runner, to break away. But Spell, he's trying his best to find some outside or inside line where he can squeeze through, just as Hyunsu did right there.
Yeah, and Spell right now, he's getting bounced around by the members of Liiv SANDBOX because there's 3 members sandwiching him. But fortunately for ROX, he's still able to hold that 2 position, denying that 1-2.
Coming into the hairpin turns, we'll see if Spell's able to take some tight lines and potentially close the gap between him and Seungha. As Hyunsu now coming in, it feels like Seungha is just going to try and run with this one with the lead that he's been given. And ROX, I mean, in the middle of the pack, they do seem formidable, but here at the front, Seungha and Hyunsu proving to be a good duo, and actually Spell somehow. I'm not sure exactly how this one shook out, but Spell able to take the lead.
Yeah, he either had the draft or the better lines, as we see now. Vega also coming in for the backup. Jung having a body fight with Insu, but he managed to pull across. Now he's in that 4th place position. He wants to support Spell badly because ROX is still in the lead.
Yeah, and Jung now trying to get into a better position right now. We'll be able to pass Hyunsu as ROX continues to add to their point total there. You see at the bottom left of your screen as they're in a commanding position right now, and you see the body blocking here coming in from Seungha. He's trying his best not to let Jung join his teammate there in the first place, coming into the hairpin turns.
Yeah, and it was the same story for Jung, blocking out Hyunsu. Spell, he
line.
fell out of line. That was not very good because now the momentum is lost, and it's Liiv SANDBOX coming in, holding that 1-4. Spell and Jung trying to get that 2-3 at least, but
Oh,
no!
no! Disaster strikes, and Liiv SANDBOX is going to complete the reverse sweep here. Oh my goodness, Liiv SANDBOX 22-17, able to win 3 tracks in a row to claim victory here in speed mode as one mistake dashes ROX's hopes there in track number 5 of securing the speed mode win. And I mean, if you're Liiv SANDBOX, that is a weight lifted off of your shoulders, because if ROX had won speed mode, then an ace match is all but assured unless they're going to win 2-0. So Liiv SANDBOX now, they have the potential to move into item mode and close this one out, just as they said, without an ace.
This was so close. Not only do they have to go all the way to round 5, just the matches themselves, it felt like it could have gone either way most of the time. In the matches that ROX actually lost, they lost usually 19-20, where if they had a slightly better position, they actually would have been able to win. And in that final round, a huge dropping out of the map. This is where it happened. Spell, he dropped just barely.
He knew that he had to take the greediest possible line there to try and close the distance to get some more points on the board for ROX, but just flew a little bit too close to the sun. He did fall to his demise. Liiv SANDBOX winning speed mode, and I gotta say, this is a little bit of a mismatch now. Moving into item mode, Liiv SANDBOX, they've proven to be perhaps the most well-rounded team here in the KDL preseason, albeit maybe not the best, is NEAL getting subbed out for Jimin, their item ace. And I say that because overall, Liiv SANDBOX, they are yet to lose a set in speed mode. 5-0 in sets, 15, or speed mode, excuse me, in item mode. 5-0 in item mode sets, 15-3 in item mode rounds.
Yeah, and NEAL, he's not unhappy about being swapped out at all. He knows that Jimin, the item ace, will fulfill his position very nicely. Just showing off that Liiv SANDBOX key. I really love those. Pansy coming in now for ROX. You know, it's interesting because ROX, despite having that item ace, they haven't found any success so far. They actually haven't won a single set in the item mode.
No, they've been the team that's had the worst performance in item mode by far here in the KDL preseason. The only one without a set win, I believe they lost to Sensation, who up to that point also did not have any set wins in item mode. As we get a quick look here at the item track list, it'll be Cogwheel Crush, the first pick here for ROX Esports. Then moving on to Magma Cavern, London Knights, Brody's Bloom, and Gangnam Streets. But just going back to that, I mean, it really hurts as a ROX fan for them to get reverse swept there in speed mode, because if you win speed, then you can at least secure that ace match, and that's mostly been their game plan. They haven't won anything in item. They're winning in speed, and then they're winning an ace match when they send out Jong. But the fact that Liiv SANDBOX was able to complete that reverse sweep, come in with a 3-2, we now have what is arguably the biggest mismatch here in the KDL preseason in item mode. Liiv SANDBOX versus ROX. Let's see if ROX can turn their item mode fortunes around here as we move to track number 1, Factory Cogwheel Crush.
Begin our item round number 1. We are in the track of choice by ROX, and I want to mention how interesting it is that they go for Factory Cogwheel Crush, because I really like it. They've been losing a bunch in the item mode so far, but they've had 3 track wins. And out of those 3, Cogwheel Crush is one of them, so ROX definitely knows how to play around it, and we can see that being reflected upon their 1-3-4 positions.
Yeah, and I bet you that this is a team that knows that they have to start improving here in item mode, especially having a dedicated item mode ace. Because it is the preseason, we are getting ready for the regular season here at the KDL, but even then, you can kind of identify these holes in your play, and for ROX right now, their win rate here, 14.3% in tracks in item mode, is about as bad as it could possibly get. And I mean, I kind of feel for the players, especially the item ace, Pansy here on ROX Esports, because I mean, obviously this is a team with a lot of talent. We see that in speed mode, we see that in their ace, but so far just unable to deliver in item mode.
Yeah, and we see a lot of missiles being traded back and forth. Now the barricade comes out, but that is dodged out beautifully. No need to use any angels or shields there, but the lightning, it did hit Sungha from Liiv SANDBOX. Now ROX in a commanding position in this final lap.
I'm kind of liking this setup here for ROX quite a bit. Both the item ace, Pansy, and Jitsi do have the top 2 positions with Nitrous and a Magnet. So there's definitely some winning potential here. And actually, I think, was that a UFO or a Thunderbolt coming in?
Yeah, that's another lightning that hit Liiv SANDBOX, 2 back-to-back. And now we see the Angel coming out for Hyunsu. Too early, because that's a 3rd lightning in a row. ROX is popping off.
Yeah, ROX with a ton of big attacks right now.
Missile!
Coming through in the clutch. Missiles as well, as we see more attacks than we almost ever see here. But here's the equalizers. We're going to go through the speed loop here. Finish line 500 meters away. Pansy in the lead, but he only has 1 Magnet. Doesn't have a Nitrous.
Oh,
and he's going to get attacked. We'll see, though, if Dootsy's able to close it out, and he actually is. So ROX, they get on the board right now. Perhaps this is the beginning of their comeback here in item mode. I mean, that's only their 4th item round win so far of the season. So the fact that it came here against arguably the best item mode players in the world here in Liiv SANDBOX, that's got to be a boost of confidence for this team.
And not only that, the last time they won in Factory Cogwheel Crush, it was against Guangdong FREECS. So potentially two of the best teams in the KDL right now. They've managed to repeat an item mode win. So taking that 1-0 lead, I'm sure it is a nice boost of confidence and morale.
Yeah, love to see that there for ROX. I mean, whenever your team goes through a dry spell like this, or you see a team go through a dry spell like this and just have so much difficulty in one particular mode, it's always a sigh of relief. It's a breath of fresh air. It's a weight off of your shoulders when you finally start to make some progress, as we have a bit of a recap here.
Yeah.
This finish line coming in. I guess Clancy holding on to that magnet. Went for a body block, in fact, and Zutzi just able to speed his way all the way into first place, securing the round win there for ROX Esports. And if they can keep it up and potentially force an ace match, I mean, this could still be their win.
The lack of defensive options definitely came to bite the butts of Liiv SANDBOX there. The magnets, the magnet rush, man, that's what was able to secure the deal. But here in track number 2, we are ready to go to Mine Magma Cavern.
You know, one thing that was interesting to see there from ROX is how many attacks they actually came out with in the final lap. We've seen most teams, I mean, with the way the meta has gone, just try to kind of hold on to the best possible items, which is usually the nitrous and the magnet combo, heading into, you know, the last kilometer of track before the finish line, right?
Right.
But ROX, they were happy to have a lot of players just continuously cycle through and go for those big guns, and it paid dividends. They had Thunderbolts coming out, they had Rockets coming out, and Liiv SANDBOX, it felt like they really were never in a position to actually build on their momentum there in the final lap.
But here right now, we are moving into our second lap. We're seeing so many nitrous across the board, 2 magnets and 2 angels. Definitely items needing to be swapped out because UFO on Chung in the first place is obviously going to get swapped out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, here at track, excuse me. I always say track instead of lap.
It happens, I do that too.
But here in lap number 2, there still is a lot of track left to be erased. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these players just kind of continue to cycle through with a lot of attacks. And, you know, once we finally get into lap number 3, which is just around the corner, start to go for, you know, setting up those big combination plays like nitrous, like magnets, as we see right now. A lot of players here, as you see on the left side of the screen, holding on to magnets. Actually, I think 5 or 6 players here in this lobby overall holding on to magnets. So
yeah,
a lot of potential firepower. We'll see exactly how this one shakes out.
Clancy, he chose to hold on to that double nitrous. He ignored 3 item boxes in a row. Finally, he still didn't use it.
Yeah, I wonder what the play is here. Maybe Clancy's going to make a run for it. Maybe
yeah,
Zutzi with the double magnet is going to try and slow down opposing players. Let's see exactly how this one is going to go.
Here we go. Clancy, he popped one of them, and he still has 1 more nitrous up his belt, but it's not going to be enough. Hyunsu comes in to the finish line for Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, just barely edging out. Actually, Chung there, not even Clancy, as Chung made a Hail Mary play to try to cross that finish line first. But Liiv SANDBOX with a clutch win there, going to tie this one up 1-1. As we have a series right now, and, you know, ROX, we talked a lot about the trouble that they've been having here in item mode so far, but, you know, I don't think that you can really say that losing this track is them compounding on those problems, because I mean, they lost by a hair. Look at that. It's 100th of a second separating Hyunsu and Jung. They very well could have won that track.
You know, one concerning thing for me was that I kept my eyes on Clancy the whole time. He was purposely not picking up the item boxes. He kept holding on to his double nitrous. So obviously the game plan for ROX, I feel, was that Clancy was going to be the one at the end to be the one to make it across, while the rest of the members will be trading aggro. And once that plan was broken, it was actually Liiv SANDBOX who managed to come in first.
Jung also from the back, I think it was with a magnet and potentially also a nitrous, trying to close the distance, but just a little bit too slow there, not able to catch up to the leaders of Liiv SANDBOXes. We're all tied up 1-1 now, 2 track wins away from declaring a victory here. ROX, they would love to force an ace match as we move to World Tour London night. And we're off here on the streets of London. Gotta say, I'm liking what we're seeing out of ROX Esports so far here in this set. I mean, not only are you the team that coming into this series is the worst in the KDL preseason. That's a styling move, actually.
360 missile.
It's a 180 no scope right there.
Yeah, 180. That's
what a cool play there from Bitsy, or from Jong, excuse me. But to go back to my point earlier, I like what we're seeing out of ROX so far. They're, coming into this, they're the worst team by the numbers in item mode, but they're going against the best here in Liiv SANDBOX, and they were able to win track number 1, track number 2 losing by 100th of a second. It shows that they have clearly been working on this. They've been making improvements. They've probably been, brainstorming some ideas, reviewing some tapes, and maybe watching, perhaps even Liiv SANDBOX's inspiration to try to get an idea of what they could improve upon. And so far today, it seems to be working. They're hanging with LSB.
Yeah, we see Sunghao quite far in the lead right now, but ROX, they're not concerned. We're seeing a lot of magnets across the board this time around with the boost. This is a very popular strategy here in London Knights, as we see Jong. He manages to dodge that Ferris wheel beautifully. Now he has that first place lead.
Chorong in first place right now, 2 Liiv SANDBOX players right behind him, but oftentimes it's really just those final 500 meters that tells the tale of who's going to win the track, and it's how the items start to shake up leading into that. So looking at the board right now, Hyunsu holding on to, I believe, a Magnet and an Angel. The names are shuffling so fast, it's actually really hard to tell. Yep. But I'm liking the setup right now for Liiv SANDBOX a little bit more than ROX. They have a lot of players, as you see here on screen, contesting pole positions with both Magnets and Nitrous.
He's so far ahead because he took that top path. Now the Magnets are coming in. Spell also leading out with Plansy. Now Liiv SANDBOX, Jimin trying to come in, going for the tighter turns, but it wasn't enough, and it's Spell who's able to come in for ROX. Now leading the score 2-1. Yeah,
Liiv SANDBOX had positions 2, 3, 4, and 5, but that doesn't matter there in item mode. It's all about who crosses the finish line first. Is ROX, I guess they sent one player forward, kind of put a target on his back there. A lot of these players, they try to magnet in, and then suddenly it felt like Liiv SANDBOX, they no longer had any momentum to close the distance there on Spell, and he's going to finish with almost a half a second lead. And ROX, they've gone from winning only 3 tracks overall up to this point in the KDL preseason item mode to winning 2 out of 3 against the best item mode team in the preseason.
I loved the teamwork coming out of Plansy and Spell there. Plansy, he managed to make it to the top part of the map. Look at this, right here. He was on the top, and the Angel set him up nicely to block against the Lightning. So we thought it might be Plansy with a huge lead, but actually Spell managed to come in with a huge backup, and you can see him nitrusing all the way across to the finish line. That was really well played.
Yeah, great cohesion there by ROX, and if you're Plansy, the item ace for ROX, you've got to be feeling good about, finally being able to deliver some success for your team here in item mode, as the play calling so far in this series has been superb here for ROX. Let's see if they can close it out and force an ace match on Factory Brody's Glue.
Off we go into item round number 4. Liiv SANDBOX, they picked Factory Brody's Gloom themselves, which is the track that we're playing now. So Liiv SANDBOX, technically, they should have a high chance to tie this one up 2-2 and give us a exciting match point, because already right now for ROX, they've had such a good strategy coming in today. You know that they've really improvised on their gameplay, and it's really showing so far.
Yeah, the improvements have been real here for ROX, and it's a joy to see this team who has excelled not only in ace matches with their speed ace Jong, but also in speed mode overall as a team. They have a lot of cohesion, they have a lot of teamwork. To now in item mode, be able to finally get things on track. And, I know that what you're saying about wanting to go to a final 5th track here, but for me personally, I would love for ROX to close this one out with a 3-1 and just force an ace match, because, this is a team that they are already going to the postseason, but it's on the backs of their speed mode. It's on the backs of their speed ace, Jong. And if they could start making some magic happen here in item mode, this is a team that might be able to hang with the likes of Liiv SANDBOX or the KWANGDONG FREECS, even in the postseason. And I just see the potential there, and it's thrilling, really, to have them start coming through with some big plays here in item.
As we take a look at the item standings, there's not a lot of defensive options at all. There's only one Angel for Jimin, so the members of ROX are really open to attacks, especially when you look at Jung and Plansy. They're going for that double Nitro setup, and that is really open to disruption.
And ROX is like all speed right now. They have 2 players that have double nitrous at the top, and then Jitsi in the back has both a magnet and a nitrous. So ROX really planning to go all out here in the final lap as that finish line only 500 meters away.
All the magnets.
Magnets getting popped up. Juicy getting slowed down a lot. Actually able to block Sungha quite a bit there, but Sungha with enough speed will he be able to finish it first? And yes, he does! As Liiv SANDBOX coming through there in the clutch will actually force a track number 5. Going to match point. And oh my goodness, you can see the relief there on the players for Liiv SANDBOX. That was a scary situation. ROX Esports, they had so much firepower there heading into the last 500 meters. They had so much nitrous, they had so much magnets, but you know, just the way that the House of Cards fell with all of the items, Liiv SANDBOX got the better out of the trade, and 1-2-3 position there. I mean, that's a comfortable win. Of course, in item mode, it doesn't matter if it's a 1-2-3. It's really just about who crosses that finish line first to secure the track win. But if you get 1-2-3, you know that you're doing something right.
We saw on camera Insu, he definitely looked super relieved there that they were able to tie it up, and that really came down to Sungha at the end, being able to speed across to the finish line. The Angel was really crucial because a barricade dropped right in front of him. As we take a look at Insu, he wasn't very happy about that one.
No,
so
got hit by
here.
Got hit by a banana. All right, so this is the final moment.
Wow!
Oh, wow! I did not catch that sweeping there by Sungha. That's actually incredible.
Yeah, and look at this barricade here. Sungha actually crashed directly into it, but the Angel was able to stop the momentum from being lost, and it was just a really nicely played, both on the offensive items and the defensive.
That was such a cool collision there by Sungha. Oh man, I'm absolutely loving that. I'm so glad we got a replay of that. Our production team here is fantastic. All right, let's go to track number 5, World Tour Gangnam Streets. Final track here in item mode as the winner of this track. If it's LSB, they'll go up 2 overall. Continue to pad their lead in the postseason standings. Or for ROX, if they can come through with a win here, they have the potential to force an ace match where they can use Jong.
Yep, and right now we're seeing a 3-lapper track, so there's definitely a lot of time to be utilizing those magnets and boosters. Into slows down, he can grab more items. That's the trade-off.
It really doesn't. It doesn't matter as much here in item mode, especially on lap number 1 of a 3-lapper, as you said. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, and you know, oftentimes when you watch players race like this, you don't see anybody really trying to pull away too much, because the fact that magnets exist means that, I mean, if you pull very far ahead in first place, inevitably somebody's going to trade positions with you, right? So
yeah, you know, I think ROX is trying to set a new meta today, because I've seen them go for that double nitrous play so many times today in the item mode, and this is their best item mode showing so far, so maybe they have a chance at showing us a new item meta. But so far we're seeing 1 magnet being held across the board for 6 out of 8 players here. Dutsy in the lead for ROX.
Yeah, and it is interesting to see ROX try to shake it up a little bit, try to come up with something new here in item mode to deliver some wins, and so far it's been working. And for those of you wondering at home exactly what builds these players are rolling here for this series, even though it is item mode, everyone is running with a standard 6062, so it's not quite as crazy as we saw, you know, in our first series of the day. It's just standard 6062, not too heavy on the boost, which, you know, kind of interests me, considering ROX isn't playing nitrous, or is playing nitrous so heavy that they're not going for, you know, at least 1 player like Banana all in on the boosts. But so far it's been working out for them.
And we see Dutsy still strongly in the lead. It's a 1-3-4 for ROX. And we have a lot of magnets in the back for Liiv SANDBOX, so they're not really concerned. They're watching like vultures for the best opportunity. Dutsy still maintaining that lead.
Spell, the only player here with an attacking item, does have a water balloon. In addition to all these angels, as we're 500 meters away. This will tell the tale. Jimin right now in the lead. No! But actually, Jung able to take pole position. Will he be able to close it out? It's Dutsy for ROX, finishing ahead of everybody as ROX picks up their first ever item mode series win. Forces an ace match, and this is the nightmare situation here for Liiv SANDBOX. They said in the interview heading into the match today, they do not want to go to an ace. They will finish it without an ace. But in an incredible turn of events, It's actually ROX winning the item mode, a team that had a sub 20% win rate in tracks in item mode, coming through against the item mode gods of the KDL preseason. You'll love to see it here for ROX.
Not only is this the first item set win for ROX, it's also the first item set loss for Liiv SANDBOX. They won every single set so far, so they're completely turning around their reputation right now, which is exactly what they need going into the postseason. I'm so glad we got to take a look at this sneak peek today, because before today, many people would have looked at ROX and said, okay, ROX out of the 4 teams going into the postseason, they have the most glaring weakness because they just can't win item mode and they always rely on Jung. But no longer the case. They are absolutely stepping it up, especially with Vega, Dutsy, and Spell constantly giving that 1-2 without even needing Jung up there.
It's an incredible moment here for ROX Esports as they really seem to be improving and shoring up their game as these teams continue to evolve and get better here in the KDL season. And you just know that ROX Esports, their ace is going to be Jung. For me, I'm wondering who it'll be from Liiv SANDBOX. Will it be Insu? Will it be NEAL? Who are they going to bring out to play against arguably, I mean, it's not even arguable, actually. It's just, you know, a fact.
Right.
Jung is the best ace player right now in the KDL. He's delivered every single win that ROX has been through the ace match, through Jung, through his skill, through his 1v1 racing so far. 4-0 in ace matches. Can he make it 5-0?
And if he does that against Liiv SANDBOX, that is only going to boost up his reputation further as we get to take a look at the track. It is going to be Village Bayside Bridge Run, and I find it really interesting that this is our track. I actually played this track quite a bit, and there's a lot of different ways you can play this. You can go for the cuts and try to give yourself the extra gauge, or you could just go for the short full drifts. There's so many different combos you can do.
Yeah, we'll see exactly how the players try to shake it out, because if you don't have big boosts, especially on those uphill portions, in the early section of Bayside Bridge Run, it can be a problem. And this isn't team speed, you know? We're not going to have those blue nitrous. It's only the red ones. It's the shorter duration nitruses that these players are going to have to use. So that'll come into play here as we're getting ready to see who the aces are going to be. And all right, there we have it. It's going to be Jung versus Insu, as I think we actually...
Yeah, I think it's a camera mishap. It's like, what's going on here? Why are you focusing on me?
I was like, wait a moment. Wait a moment here. It's just a little bit of a hiccup. I'm quite sure it's going to be Jung there for ROX. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe we'll be surprised. Okay, no, it is Jung.
Yeah.
It is actually Jung. For a second there, oh man, he tricked us. He tricked us. I was like, wait a second. Jung, have you lost weight? But no, it's going to be Insu versus Jung, and this should be one of the most hyped ace matches that we're going to have the entire preseason. I mean, just the storylines coming into this one. Insu, one of the best racers in the world, has held speed world records on tracks, you know, over the course of the first couple of months of this game. You know, more often than not, it feels. I mean, Insu is just a force to be reckoned with, but Jung, as we've said time and time again, 4-0, undefeated in ace matches, looking to make it 5-0. Every single win that ROX has had so far this season has been through his power, through his fingertips. As we're gonna move to the ace match, who will win this set? Village Bayside Bridge Run.
Off we go into ace match, Insu versus Jung. This has so many stories on the line. Jung taking the really wide curves there, gaining that booster gauge early on, and he does have a positional advantage.
Yeah, Jung with an early lead right now. Insu prioritizing building that nitrous meter just a little bit more right now, so that's going to allow him to start closing the distance to get his drafting range. You would hope. All right, he will. Yep. Oh, thank goodness.
Insu managed to come back. Jung actually tried to block out Insu there, but he missed. Now Insu's able to continue on his momentum. Now it's Insu who's actually blocking out Jung. But Jung, he dodged Insu's block there and was able to take the inner line.
Yeah, both these players, it seems like they're mainly prioritizing nitrous gauge here as opposed to body blocking and as opposed to sweeping.
Oh,
big collision there! In fact, Insu bouncing off of Jung and the wall, going to lose a ton of momentum, and now Jung, he can almost be in time trial mode as Insu's going to be, you know, the pressure is on right now for him to start to close the gap.
Yeah, and look at the booster gauge advantage for Jung. All Jung needs to do is maintain that and his position. Insu has a lot of catch-up to do. He's also not in draft range, so Insu's gonna have to greed for a lot of these tighter lines.
Insu taking a slightly tighter line here than Jung. As you can see, Jung playing this a bit conservatively.
Wow,
And all right, Insu.
recovery.
Yeah, coming in. Those tighter lines paying off right now, but Jung with these nitrous in the bank. Let's see him try to pass right now.
Yeah, Jung right now, he's pretty much looking for the optimal line. Right, like this! He does it again. He did it earlier where he waits for Insu to take the outer and then he goes for the inner. This time he wasn't able to build himself the full lead. He's still within drafting range, however.
Yeah, in drafting range, but Insu's doing a good job of blocking him out.
Jung!
Coming into the
There's a
final
trap.
turns here. We're still in drafting range. Jung, if he can maintain these body blocks, but actually Insu coming in from the outside, it's going to take the lead. 300 meters left to go. Jung actually up on the high ground. Oh, and the block on Insu! And Jung is going to win it again! How does he do it? How does he do it? ROX Esports with another win! Oh my goodness! Jung is unbeatable!
Jung, he took that inner line into the side pavement, and that gave him the positional advantage over Insu. He's absolutely feeling it. What a beautiful finish to the preseason of KDL for Jung. 5 ace match wins in a row, undefeated.
Just almost unheard of. Jung is so good, man. He might be the best individual racer here in the KDL. You just see how hyped up he gets with every single victory. I feel like I'm at a loss for words right now with how skilled this guy is. Just continuing to surprise and wow everybody. Liiv SANDBOX. You could see the disappointment there on their faces, but I mean, Jung is just on such a hot streak right now.
Man, Jung, we kept hyping this guy up because he deserves it. He keeps delivering insane performances, and we can see our fan predicting that 5-0 ace match for Jung correctly. And honestly, State, if someone asked me if this was going to happen, I wasn't going to be sure, but this is the moment when Jung was able to turn it around. Look at that.
It's just the perfect line. There's nothing more you can say. He just comes in, takes the tightest possible corner up on the pavement, and cuts in at the right moment to block Insu, kill his momentum, and then from there he just has free reign, crosses the finish line in one of the most hyped finishes I have ever seen to an ace match. This guy is so talented, and an insane role reversal. Liiv SANDBOX winning speed and then losing item mode to ROX, who up until this point has never won an item set in the KDL preseason, securing the ace match in track number 5, and then Jung delivers to perfection.
Man, words cannot describe how closely matched Liiv SANDBOX and ROX were. 3-2, going all the way down to that 5th round for both speed and item. They kept us at the edge of their seats, but it was ROX who was able to show that they had the better edge today, and this just makes you more excited for postseason because the value of ROX, I feel like, has tripled. The only team they need to prove themselves against now is Guangdong FREECS, and we're going to get to see that very soon.
Yeah, inevitably in the postseason, you feel like ROX Esports is going to be a force to be reckoned with, because if they can force that ace match, considering that Jung, up until now, 5-0, undefeated overall.
Wow.
ROX moving into 2nd place, and well-deserved, man.
Yeah, this win. We were talking about being pretty important for Liiv SANDBOX. Just being able to stay in that top 2, and of course, now ROX with that 5-2.
Yeah, and a minor note here, Finale Esports was given a penalty here at the start of their day. One of the players was a little bit late to the studio, and so their round score was reduced by 1, but of course out of playoff contention, so it shouldn't impact the standings at all. But, you know, main story here, ROX passing Liiv SANDBOX, and you know, I love how you talk about the value that Jung brings to the table here for ROX Esports, because that really kind of is the story for this team. Is, you know, you're not playing to win 2-0, although you would love to. The game plan for them up until this point has been to win, you know, at least one mode. Until this point, it's been speed mode, but today it was item mode. And if you win one, you're going to get that ace match. You get that ace match, you bring out Jung, and who knows what can happen, man. 5-0, undefeated overall. Literally every single win that ROX has over another team has been through Jung's ace skills. And on top of that, now they're improving in item mode. You also see them in speed mode. It's not Jung just in first place or second place every single time. It's these other players that are stepping it up. The teamwork is getting better. I'm excited for the future here for ROX. And man, what a nice little preview that we had of the KDL postseason, because I mean, now my mind is just racing about the potential matchups we get. If ROX is able to take down the FREECS in speed mode, for example, in a postseason situation, is anyone on the FREECS going to be able to stop Jung? Or if ROX can actually continue to improve here in item mode and show that this was not a fluke and they can beat these top teams in item mode in the postseason, maybe we have some 2-0s even, and they don't even need to bring Jung out in the ace matches. It's crazy.
Yeah. When you said they don't even need to bring Jung out in the ace matches, I was like, but yeah, I see what you mean. If their item mode continues to be good, right, then they don't even need to go down there. Unlike all of their wins so far in the preseason was coming from the ace matches. It always went down to that final set. And honestly, what a story, especially for Plansy today, not just Jung, because I feel like there was some question marks on ROX. They have an item ace. Why are they doing so bad in item mode? And Plansy as a player, he hasn't had too many standout performances either, but today we saw him really stepping up to the plate, attempting a lot of crazy builds such as using double nitrous, making sure to get up on the top shortcut so he has a positional advantage. And I feel like that's what really came through for ROX today.
Yeah, I feel like teamwork was the name of the game, and also Plansy's play calling there in item mode, as you pointed out, was just superb. As the item ace, it's kind of his responsibility to guide the team into the direction that they want to go to secure those wins. And it wasn't like they just beat up on some low-ranking team to get this win. They did it against Liiv SANDBOX, who, coming into today, 15-3 was their track record in item mode, which is just absolutely absurd. So for ROX, who hasn't won item mode yet, to come in and defeat Liiv SANDBOX, it's just, oh, it's so promising for their future.
Yeah, and it completely threw off the standings because it kept being Liiv SANDBOX and Guangdong FREECS maintaining that 1-2 even in the standings, but now it's ROX actually in second place. So Liiv SANDBOX, they still have one more match left. If they win that one, they do take over that second place again because they have an advantage in the number of set and round wins. So they really push Liiv SANDBOX now to the corner saying, if you guys don't win your next one, we're taking that second place.
Yeah, and this postseason is going to get very interesting. You know, we're kind of in the final days here of the regular season of the KDL preseason. But once that postseason starts, you know, now it kind of feels like all these teams have a little bit of their own character. ROX, of course, with their ace, now making improvements here in item mode. KDF, just the speed freaks seem unstoppable in speed mode overall. Liiv SANDBOX has been well-rounded. They almost feel like item specialists, which feels weird to say considering they have, you know, the Parksu duo and NEAL on their team. Like, that's a lot of speed talent. So, yeah, it's just very interesting. I can't wait to actually get into the postseason and see how things, you know, start to evolve.
Yeah, and, you know, going back to what Liiv SANDBOX really was prioritizing today, that they were going to finish the day without an ace match, saying that to Jung, but it was actually Jung who was able to lead the team all the way to the ace match along with his members today. Every single member stepping up to the plate, and then Jung himself just being the king to finish it all. What a great storyline. Honestly, I feel like we've had so many back and forth so far in the KDL preseason, but this has to be one of the biggest close matches we've had.
For me personally, this is the biggest upset just after the way speed mode went. I mean, starting from speed mode, the fact that ROX, with their dismal item mode score going against Liiv SANDBOX, who has the best item mode record overall in the league, was able to beat them and then force an ace match, and then have Jung come out with that insane line in the final lap to clutch it out. It's just phenomenal. It was a great story, and overall, it's been a great day of Kart Rider esports so far here in Seoul, Korea. I'm having a blast, man. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, and that's only 3 teams that we talked about so far. We can't forget that there's Aura as well right now in the postseason. The lineup is so stacked. Aura, another team that we cannot ignore because of their explosive item mode performances. Not only that, their speed mode has been consistent. And if we can see a team like ROX improve this much in a short span of time, we don't know how much Aura will improve as well. I honestly cannot place any predictions for our postseason.
Yeah, I mean, coming into today, I would have said, oh, it's just going to be the Freaks. Like, without a doubt, they're going to win the postseason. If I was a betting man, that would be my bet, no matter what. But, you know, there's a lot of potential coming out of these other teams, in particular ROX, and just having that ace in the hole in Jong seems to be the wild card that might be what propels them. And you also have to think that, you know, the mood and the momentum that the team is feeling right now, the amount of confidence that they must have to beat Liiv SANDBOX in such an unexpected way. I mean, they have to be on cloud 9 right now. They've got to be feeling so good. And having that kind of morale, especially with the way your teamwork has been, you know, improving every single day here at the KDL, that can translate into success. I mean, momentum is a very real thing when it comes to esports.
It's funny to me, State, though, that you're saying that you would have bet your money on Guangdong FREECS coming into today, because we didn't get to see Liiv SANDBOX yet coming into their full roster, which we finally did today, right? Seungha returning to that speed mode and Jimin playing the item mode as well. I feel like that was the biggest dark horse, because without that is how they lost to Guangdong FREECS. But even with the full man roster being back, if they're losing to ROX, that definitely shakes up the standings. And Guangdong FREECS, it's just them now. They need to be tested by this new ROX that we haven't seen up till today.
Yeah, I can't wait it. I mean, there's just so many potential matches in the postseason, and every single one just feels like it's to die for. And I'm kind of like hoping, I'm like crossing my fingers that I get to see ROX versus the Guangdong FREECS when that happens. But, you know, even if I'm not casting here with you or with Chober or with Wolf, I'm definitely going to be watching at home. And guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we get back, the round of 16 individual league losers match. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you soon.
Muchas gracias la presión.
아니.
아, 콧소리 에바야. 아, 난가?
당신이야, 당신.
아, 알았어. 숨 안 쉴게.
딱 좋아.
이길 때까지 숨 쉬지 마. 아, 오늘은 진짜 이기자. 3대1, 3대1 어때?
오케이, 콜.
콜?
네.
아까 형이 밑에서 말했지만 우리 잃을 거 없어 얘들아.
네.
형이 스피드 저도 최소 애결 보낼 테니까 일단 편하게 해봐.
와, 저 말을 여기서 듣네. 진짜 뭔가 딱 믿음이 가.
셋!
세션!
세션! 뭐 계단타기야?
다시 한 번 더.
셋!
세션! 하나, 둘, 셋. 파이팅!
거의 다 붙어 있어서 위험 구간 들어갔을 때 조그만 실수만으로도 두 순위, 세 순위 바뀝니다.
스피드 지금 라인 교차해주는 거 굉장히 좋았어요.
가만히 안 맞나? 잠깐만.
끝까지
빨려.
아직 몰라.
가만히 대 상대야 잡았어. 상대야. 나이스. 이거 제 뒤에 볼게요. 뒤에 꼬이게 해놨어. 야 하나.
퍼센트 근데 날 꼬였어요. 날 꼬였어요. 또 한 번 연속 헤어핀 구간에
커버 쳐놨어.
걔는 18.
일단만 해. 뒤에 작업이다.
78.
막았어. 뒤에 작업.
나이스.
자 남은 시간 이렇게 와 도퍼 센테이션.
와,
앞에서 뛰어.
네 마지막에 좀 기어갔어. 너무.
아 그렇지. 야, 내가 스탑이었어 그래서.
아 잘했다 여기 진짜. 땡겨.
가비.
괜찮아 괜찮아.
아잘 끌어놨네.
아이템 따자.
가비.
생겼어. 형이 여기를 보내줘야겠네. 여기를 신경 있어.
윤태경 올려드릴까요?
올려줘
빨리
빼줘봐.
빼줘봐.
아니야 갈게 뒤에 봐봐.
그래 가봐.
되나?
하나 떨어지고 나이스.
해보자.
천사 불러봐. 우리 셋이 해야 돼.
나와
천사 한번 쓸게요 형.
천.
나 이제.
와줄 수 있나? 일단 쏘고.
내가 해볼게. 꼴찌물 안 보여.
용준이 먼저 해. 나 어떻게? 1파 대기 부르면 알.
나 먼저.
1등 들었거든.
오케이.
영훈이 형 빨리 말.
짧게 그냥.
째면 돼. 예, 쨘다. 1미 했어.
부사 해줘야 돼.
번개까지. 뛰었어.
그냥 가.
뛰었어.
아 나이스. 와.
번개 깝이다.
이거 진짜 나 최대한 늦게 한 건데 안 돼.
와 근데 번개 진짜 아깝다.
내가 천사 없어서 그래 우리가.
너 자신 있어? 나는 진짜 되게 가위바위보. 네. 괜찮아? 나? 내가 해? 뭐 하고 싶으면 해. 나? 아 살짝 오늘 좀 그래. 내가? 알았어. 내가 택시 나가달래.
누구 나갈래? 내가 나가?
나갈 사람 없으면
눈치 게임?
병수 어때 컨디션?
근데 만약에
아니야 너 좋으면 너가 나가도 돼. 아니면 너가 별로면 내가 나가고.
그냥 반반이에요.
야 이긴 사람이 나갈 거야 질 사람이 나갈 거야?
지는 사람이 나가야죠.
진 사람? 가위바위보?
누가 졌어? 형이 졌어요?
첫 번째 랩에서 내가 어떻게 플레이해야 될지. 자 코너에서 눈치 싸움 끝에 다시 한번 거의 비슷하게 독박. 밀어붙여야 되는데. 호흡이 올라왔죠. 자 타임이 더 있습니다. 슈도 있어요. 타임이 만났을 때 눌러줘야죠. 오른쪽 라인이 열리지 않도록 사방을 조절하지 말아야 돼. 과연 호전.
하던 대로만 하겠습니다.
성빈 1등 고정하고
더도 말고 덜도 말고.
그래. 우리 이거 승률 100%.
오케이. 하던 대로 하면 되겠다.
파이팅.
광동 상대 괜찮은데 놔두지 않습니다. 퍼센트.
야 과감했죠. 이거 초반 진입 구간에 왼쪽으로
나이스. 계속 가. 내가 뒤에 봐줄게. 이제. 앞에서 쳐. 일단 작업하면 일단 할 때.
아 돌아. 나이스.
야 1점만 잡고 있어봐.
네 지금 뚫렸어 나.
실수만 안 할게 성빈아.
천천히.
이제 못해. 꼴찌 고정. 나이스 앞에 봐라. 네, 맞아. 이거 앞텔이야 조심.
짝으로 이렇게 편안하게 들어옵니다.
나이스.
아 초반 순위가 근데 좀 아쉬웠다 이거. 사이드 좀 사이드.
네.
오케이 같이 맞았다.
나쁘지 않아.
오케이.
일단 내가 쏠게. 오케이 궁템 많이 나온다.
가드 미사일.
먼저 쏴.
먼저 쏠게.
뛰었어.
커피 허센 때 띄울게.
1등 물.
띄우고.
못 잡았다.
일단 한 번 더 쏠게. 내가 바리 깔게.
오빠 있어 오빠.
한 명이 빨고 붙자 일단. 한번 붙을게 나. 오케이.
딴거 나중에. 나 파리.
일단 안 가. 일단 가자. 사이 탈까?
타봐. 지금 칠게.
얘다 사이 탄다. 오케이. 나 한번 쓰고 간다 그냥. 해지 먹으면 챙겨줘.
혼자 해야 돼.
네네.
물만 봐줘. 나 초보거든?
오케이.
이동 한번 쏠게 나.
그 쨘다. 상처.
1등 빨아놨어 내가.
빨리 안 친다.
빨리 맞춰봐. 쏘리.
손빈 갑자기 손빈.
야 잡으라서 이겼어.
금요일에 칼날은 너무 무딘데.
김열의 칼날이 혹시 그거 약간 드립이구나. 방심하지 말고 끝까지 하자.
어떤 상황이 와도 끝까지 해 얘들아.
시작한다.
파이팅.
Muchas gracias la misión. Ellos para nosotros. 템 챙기자 뒤에는.
다리 깔게 피해봐.
바리 깔래.
다리 살아있고.
동문아 쉴드 버리고 템 챙기자.
그냥 사이드 가능? 그냥 쳐 그냥 잘.
물 버릴게.
우준이도 템 챙겨와야 돼. 1등 안 갈라 그런다.
이거 물 버릴 테니까 사이드 가능?
사이드 가는. 나 우주와.
지금 사이드.
까먹었다.
나 우주 맞고. 오른쪽 파.
이거
골등
계속
잘
챙겨줘.
주고.
이거 나한테 맞춰주라 얘들아.
우주 하나 주고 갈게.
나 우주 오고. 템 챙겨봐 얘들아. 매겼다.
질러 까나 그냥?
헬스 챙길까?
해지 바꿔. 갈템 먹고 해지 바꾸래. 우주 내가 우주 쏠 거야. 자 대기 거리. 그냥 해. 나 부스 떼줄까? 떼봐.
엄청.
한 거 나야.
내가 빨게. 그냥 나 들려 형. 형 이겨야 돼.
걸칠까?
그냥 가.
렌즈가 그러다가 들어갑니다. 렌즈.
야 우리 좀 비켜 있어 줄래? 야 진짜 부담감 갖지 마. 너 아이템 잘했으니까 해결한 거야.
쪽은 상대 라인을 좀 보면서 아예 다운시키고 도망갈 수 있으면 도망가는 이런 판단을 많이 하는 선수이기 때문에 에시드 플라이도 너무 무리해서는 안 돼요.
싸울 수 있어야 돼요.
네.
에시드 플라이.
자 드림이 좀 세게 들어갔었어요. 쫑 선수가 근데 그걸 본인도 알고 있다 보니까 근데 뉴커팅 좀 많이 해야 되거든요. 이러면
지금 붙는 순간에 오히려 쫑이 부스터 상황이 불리하단 말이에요. 에시드 플라이가 하나 더 앞서고 있습니다만 살짝 넘어가긴 했거든요.
자 이거 이렇게 되면 마지막 타임 보겠다는 건데 에시드 플라이 깔끔하게만 가면 됩니다.
에시드 플라이가
자 거리 있거든요. 근데 마지막 감 찬스.
하고 들어서 끝을 내야 될 잘 밀었죠. 현수가 들어옵니다. 135.
뭐네 그냥 애초에
할로.
나 카메라 또 나온다. 카메라 또 나온다 이거. 아니 카메라 왜 이렇게 또 가깝게.
Hello and welcome back to the KDL Preseason. I'm State. Joined with me is Peter as we just finished an excellent team match and now getting ready to go into the solo match portion of the matches today. As we're going into the round of 16 losers, it should be a fun one.
Yeah, although we're calling it a losers, it's still a lot of really great players coming in.
It's the lower bracket.
Yeah.
It's the lower bracket. So this is a do or die for these players. It's not like the winners match where the top four advance to the finals and then the lower four advance to the final match. If you lose here, you are out of the solo match tournament. So top four critical here to advance into that final match with a chance of qualifying for the grand finals.
And of course, the four winners of the round of 16 winners match already moved on to the finals, and they're pretty much the bosses now, waiting at the end of the
bosses.
track.
I like how you phrased that one. Yeah, that certainly is what they feel like. So we get a quick look over here, the players that have already qualified. And also round of 16 losers match, the lineup we have today. NEAL, Chorong, SUNGBIN, Luning, Cosu, Perfect, Spell, and Summer. A nice kind of mix of rookies and veterans here.
Yeah, and the four winners of today's match is going up against Speeding, World, and Jimin, who also had really good performances. It's just that Hyunsu into Knock and Cool, they were so dominating going all the way into that track number 10. So hopefully today we'll be able to see some of that as well. But the track best records are mostly being held by Cool. Speed managed to set up some new ones. A lot of Liiv, SANDBOX, and Guangdong FREECS players as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Liiv SANDBOX jerseys on this one.
But there's Sting.
Yeah?
He's maintaining his proud standing in Mine Gold Rush, and Sting has had a really good showing so far despite being an underdog.
It's so fun to see these stats like this. Just know exactly what kind of tracks these players prefer, what they're on the best at. Is, you know, this is where it all begins. The path to the grand finals. I mean, if you lose here, you are going home. But if you win this, then there's only one more match standing between you and top 8 in the entire tournament. So a lot on the line for all of these players. two of our players also, Chorong and Summer, not on teams competing here in the KDL preseason. So for them, this is their main thing. And, you know, maybe a big performance here, you might get picked up onto one of the rosters of these pro teams or these amateur teams that are trying to compete long-term in the KDL.
Yeah, no one really wants to go home here, even the amateur, the rookies that we call them. But they're already here all the way up in the round of 16 for a reason. They've proven themselves. They're really great at these solo matches as we get ready to take a look at some of our players. And of course, the first player is going to be perhaps the most highlighted player of our group. It's NEAL.
That's NEAL, the global legend whose game plan is to play safely, which, yeah, that's the most important thing here is, oh, look at that little puppy. You can balance it on your head. I believe in you, NEAL. You can do it. He's done it.
You know, last time he had one of those puppy plushies, he squeezed the face and it looked like, stop, NEAL. But this time, he's taking a good care of his puppy.
I don't think I was casting that day. That sounds really funny. Chorong's asking, who am I? Wants to go to the round of 16, wants to prove himself, wants to put him on the map here in the Kartrider esports scene. You know, as similar to NEAL, he's one of those players that barely missed qualifying for the winners match. He placed 5th in round of 16 match number 1. But, you know, he's got a lot to prove here, as does SUNGBIN.
SUNGBIN, he's only going to press the forward key without any regrets. I like that saying a lot. I think that is going to be the main story today for most of these players. They all want to press forward. No one wants to fall behind because they're going to have to go home if they drop into that bottom 4. And SUNGBIN coming out of his group in 6th place, not the best showing, but we know SUNGBIN's better than that.
Yeah, Luning, another player that is advancing out of 6th place, and he says he's out of bus fare. So Luning was one of those guys, maybe even the only guy that was saying that the New York City tour bus is going to be the future of Kartrider esports. He kept saying it, and now he's here in the losers match and not the winners match, and so he says he's at a bus fare and he's switching to the mine card. So I love that from him.
Yeah, every player here except Summer are using that mine card, but Cosu here, there's nowhere to retreat. Your backs are against the wall. It's now or never, do or die. Cosu knows exactly the concept of today.
Yeah. 2.5 years since he last competed in the solo match in the Kartrider Season 2 of 2020, and back then, he lost in the losers match. Will he be able to advance this time? You know, he would hope to, as would Perfect here, calmly and comfortably. Slow and steady wins the race. Actually, slow and steady, probably not a good strategy here in Kartrider. Maybe not the best analogy, but consistency is going to be key for a lot of these guys, and Perfect, much like Cosu, is going to try and be consistent here. He only placed in, I think, 7th.
Yep,
in his group. He tied with Spell, actually, so 7th/8th. Not the best performance from him, but certainly is the kind of player that has potential here to advance.
On the other hand, Spell, this is a player that has had perhaps one of the best days of KDL preseason, coming in from ROX with that hot win just now.
Oh, yeah.
And he also wants to make it to that decider match, continuing on some of that momentum for his team, ROX Esports.
He's got to be feeling really good and
yeah,
try to ride that momentum from that very clutch win here into the solo matches. Summer, the youngest player of this group, born in 2007, and if you don't feel old already, I hope you do now, because I certainly do.
Yeah.
Youngest player here in KDL. You know, he's actually so young. I mean, obviously, being here in the round of 16, he has so much potential. I don't want to harp too much on his age, but just kind of the dichotomy here. Summer born in 2007. 2007 was the year that Perfect, another player in this group, made his professional Kartrider League debut. So just to goes to show, you know, this really is kind of a new era. It's new versus old. It's rookies versus veterans here. And the losers match of the round of 16 solo. As Peter, I hear the music. I think we're getting ready to get started here in the solo match round of 16 as we move on to Mine Winding Slopes.
Off we go into the first round of losers match. We see our players taking the cuts, going for the instant boost in the earlier phases, and everyone is off to a great start, especially Summer and NEAL.
Yeah, Summer and NEAL leading the pack right now as we come to the first couple of really tight turns here. Perfect taking a nice, safe, wide line here. You don't want too many collisions in these tight corners because they might slow you down, they might slow your opponents down, but this isn't a team match where you're trying to really sweep too much unless you're in pole position. you're playing for your tournament life here. You want to get top 4 in this group to advance.
And NEAL is doing a fantastic job so far, keeping up that lead now in that first place against Summer. Summer's going to drop back quite a bit, and we know that NEAL, if he sets his mind to it, he can really be good at keeping his lead because he will not give that draft range.
Yeah, NEAL is very good once he gets ahead of the pack. If he goes into time trial mode, he is hard to stop. Perfect going to do his best to try to close the distance on him, but you know, so far things are going really well for NEAL.
NEAL, he's not anywhere close enough for Perfect to get a draft. Perfect doing whatever he can. The lines, they're exactly the same right now between Perfect and NEAL, but NEAL, he was able to find the better one because Perfect had a collision.
500 meters to go. Perfect trying to get to drafting range. Going to use another boost here coming onto this turn. But a little bit of a mess up there. And NEAL's going to finish it first. Perfect falling to 4th place as SUNGBIN and Summer take the opportunity there to pass him as Perfect lost a little bit of momentum.
A lot of momentum lost there, but NEAL coming up again as the first place of the group, so he will be able to take a track of his choosing. And you have to be worried because even just speaking statistically, NEAL was one of the standout players of our match here today in the solo. And he's already got 10 points for himself. He's also picking the next track. SUNGBIN, on the other hand, I love that he was able to come in out of nowhere, taking those 7 points for himself. Summer, also with the NYC tour bus, the loner of the group, but still getting that 3rd place.
Summer now the only player rocking that tour bus is our other racer is now out of bus fare.
Yeah, and
Summer,
we have...
Summer maybe using his lunch money for that now.
Yeah. And we've had global fans showing up for NEAL. It seems like that puppy must be like a mascot for him because it's the exact same puppy that was on his head.
Yeah, well, it's working so far. All right, NEAL winning track number 1. Let's see if we can carry the momentum here heading into track number 2. Remember, top 4 of this group advance to the next match. Bottom 4 are eliminated as we move on to Desert Ancient Aqueducts.
Here we go into round number 2 of solo match. We have NEAL strongly in the lead.
SUNGBIN with some really cute play right there. Some nice body blocking on Perfect to solidify his pole position just a little bit right there as NEAL coming in hot. Once again, taking some tight lines as we enter some tricky turns here.
Yeah, this is pretty much the trickiest part of this track, Ancient Aqueducts, where you constantly have to drift in a perfect harmony because you cannot afford to crash into the wall right now. We have SUNGBIN and Perfect leading in that 1-2. NEAL not too far behind.
And NEAL trying to close the distance. Does get knocked back a little bit right there as Perfect trying to body block him just a bit. And we'll see. Not a lot of room here to draft or build up gauge. Is NEAL actually with the inner line? SUNGBIN and Perfect was able to pass them for a moment there. And actually now Cosu is just like musical chairs. We continuously change hands here between who's in first and who's in second.
NEAL and SUNGBIN were the first place and the second place of the previous track, and they're doing great right now as well in that top 4. The consistency already starting to form, but the collision into the wall is going to shake up the standings a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, but NEAL solidifying his position right now, the lone global representative here, and
another collision!
Yeah, that could have been bad for Perfect, but instead only losing a little bit of momentum, he will stay right up there with NEAL and actually even surpasses him on the straightaway.
Yeah, right now, NEAL, it's all about him versus Perfect here, Chorong. He doesn't have the distance to go for the draft, as we see NEAL taking the outer line away from Perfect, pulling away, and that's doing him a favor right now.
Yeah, NEAL doing a good job of body blocking Perfect, not giving him any space to actually go for the pass. We'll see, though, coming into these tight turns, NEAL taking the tight inner line, and we're only 500 meters away. NEAL might be gunning for a 2nd track win in a row.
And now it's actually Spell maintaining that 2nd place for himself. Much needed because he only has 1 point in the group standings. NEAL with the back-to-back 1st place finish.
Yeah, man, he was talking about wanting to play, you know, nice and safe and slow and easy coming into this one. Just wanted to, you know, go for the pole position because really it's all about getting top 4. It's not about getting 1st place, but I mean, he can't help himself sometimes, it feels. This guy has just got racing in his blood as he walks away with back-to-back track wins. I mean, look at him. That's look at him, a killer. Just completely nonchalant about it. Just another day in the office here for NEAL. No emotion. I love it, man. This guy's so confident.
And now we can take a look at the standings. Wow, 3 players tied in 5th place. Summer, Luning, and Chorong all at 4 points, trying to catch up to Spell with 8 points because they need to get into that top 4 at this point. NEAL, he's the one putting pressure on all our players. He's already have 20 points in the bag. This was the same story for Cool last time. He snagged the top or the first 2 tracks, getting 1st place. But in that 3rd track, that's where he slipped. So NEAL, if he's able to not slip this time around and maintain a 1st place finish, he may be able to go for even a perfect finish as we go into 4-6 Zach Timberland.
All right, let's see if NEAL can continue to build on this lead that he has accumulated over the previous 2 tracks. Already in a great position.
NEAL.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to fall back now to 3rd place, but, you know, as long as you're in the top 4 here, or even top 5 with SUNGBIN, I mean, this is a tight enough pack that anybody here over the course of the next 2 laps should be able to get 1st place if they play it correctly.
And you have to remember that for Zigzag Timberland is the track where NEAL shines the most.
Yeah.
Even in team match today, he was able to get that 1st place with an astounding lead. He's looking to continue that, but so far it's 3 other players, Perfect, Chorong, and Spell in the lead.
Yeah, Perfect, Chorong, and Spell pulling away for the pack just a little bit here as Perfect gonna try and maintain this 1st position. Block out Chorong. Chorong with a nice performance so far here today. Of course, one of the players here competing without a team in the KDL, just solo match only for him, as now Spell enters the fray, trying to come in, trying to thread the needle almost, it feels. And oh, he does! He threads the needle there for a moment, but then taking the outer line will be passed. And oh, Peter, it is so hot and heavy here at the top of the pack.
Spell really needs to keep this consistency up right now because he's the one in that 4th place in overall standings at 8 points. He definitely wants to build a big point gap here possible now going up into 1st place. This is really big. NEAL is nowhere in sight.
Yeah, NEAL in 5th place right now, so you will try to close it the distance just a bit. SUNGBIN also hot on the tails of these racers. Spell doing a good job of using these kind of, you know, unintentional collisions between the players in the middle of the pack that slow them down to his advantage here, trying his best to get out of drafting range.
SUNGBIN.
So far unable to do it. Actually, SUNGBIN from the outside line able to come in there and pass him.
Yeah, this is not what Spell wants to see, so now he's once again getting the better lines than SUNGBIN. Now manages to move across, and he's blocking SUNGBIN now. This is looking really close in that 1-2-3.
Yeah, it's very close here at the top of the pack. Spell would love to try and pad his lead just a little bit. Right on the precipice of top 4 right now. A 1st place here would be great for him, adding some insurance heading into the future tracks.
Luning right now leading out along with SUNGBIN. Spell's going to take an unfortunate collision there, but he takes the tightest turns. Right now, as you can see him doing, he's trying to close the distance, but so far he's unable to. SUNGBIN now manages to boop Luning back a tiny bit. Luning coming in hot again, but no, it's SUNGBIN taking that 1st place finish. Spell 2nd place. I think that's pretty good still.
Yeah, SUNGBIN sneaking in with that tight inner line was able to kind of snatch victory right there at the end, positioning himself in 1st place. NEAL got 5th in that one if you're wondering where he finished up, but for Spell, who was sitting, I think, in 4th coming into that race, it's going to be some nice padding to his lead over the bottom 4 players a little bit, because you never really want to be neck and neck with the guys right below you on the precipice of elimination, because of course top 4 from this will advance to meet the 4 players who lost the winners match previously here in the round of 16 as an opportunity to reach that grand final. So for Spell, going to be feeling really good. Overall, though, it feels like a tight race. I want to see exactly how the standings are looking, because I want to say that, you know, positions 5, 6, and 7, they're not very far off 4, but I guess we'll have to hold that thought for us another time as we're getting ready to go to Glacier Extreme Stadium, track number 3 here in solo speed. And we're off here on Glacier Extreme Stadium, track number 4, as I briefly forgot how to count.
Yep.
Happens to all of us, I guess. With Chorong and NEAL off to a great start, as well as Spell.
And one concern here is that SUNGBIN did pick this track himself, but he's all the way back in 6th place, unable to build a lead. He's only 20 points, 3 points behind NEAL, while NEAL is making use of this opportunity, being in that top 3.
I'm liking this start from NEAL a lot. This is a little bit reminiscent of track number 1 and 2 with NEAL getting this early first place position and then not giving it up. But this can be a tricky position coming into these hairpin turns. We'll see how he's going to handle these lines and if anyone's going to be able to pass him. And actually Luning there from the inside, outer to inner, and then back on the inner is going to be able to pass. And NEAL actually losing a bit of ground now, falling all the way down to 3rd place.
Luning having a miraculous run so far here in the Glacier Extreme Stadium. He's sitting at 5th place, 4 points behind 4th. So if he can snatch this 1st place finish, that's going to be really huge. But first, he's got to outplay NEAL.
Yep, right now holding on to dear life right there in 1st place with Perfect also closing the distance here on Luning and NEAL. You just see NEAL trying every chance he possibly can to pass Luning and eventually does here on this straightaway, but just barely.
Barely is the word that we're looking at. That is the distance and the gap between our players. NEAL having some fantastic block on Luning there, preventing him from being able to take the inner lines. Now we see Chorong coming in, trying to go for things, but he got blocked out by the wall.
And once again, we're entering the hairpin turns here on the 2nd lap, this time with NEAL in 1st place. We'll see if he's able to maintain it and not let Luning get any ground, and so far so good, taking the tight inner line yet again. 500 meters left to go, boosting off this big ramp. We'll see how greedy these players decide to take these turns, and NEAL right here on the straightaway looks like he's gonna win his 3rd out of 4th track.
NEAL, he manages to swerve into the path of Luning there, taking that cut. It wasn't even needed because they didn't collide, but really showing that NEAL was absolutely focused on getting that 1st place finish. NEAL, he's got another 10 points in his bag, currently at 33 points in total, meaning if he takes 2 more tracks in 1st place and even 2nd place in one of them, that could be it.
Yeah, NEAL's off to a great start, setting another individual speed record here with 151.5 on Glacier Extreme Stadium. And you saw that in lap number 1. I think NEAL was leading the pack heading into the hairpin turns before we go down that 500-meter straightaway. He had to give it up there, but this time was able to successfully navigate it, blocking Luning out, able to deliver yet another win. There's more fans coming out here to support NEAL. Love to support our global player here at the KDL.
Yeah, cool kids never panic. That's the slogan for Liiv SANDBOX. We love to see it. And honestly, I feel like right now, the top 5 is where the consolidation is happening because Luning is at 16 points. Some are at 6th place only in 3 points. So that 4-5-6 fight is huge as we get ready to move on to our track number 5, Factory Facility 5. Off we go into round number 5 of round of 16 losers match. It was NEAL who picked up Factory Facility 5 for himself, currently in the lead at 1st place.
Yeah, NEAL just doesn't miss, man. There was that one track where he finished, I think, at 5th, but besides that, he's just been doing nothing but dubs. And once again, coming in here to this first shortcut, off to a great start.
Yeah, and we saw NEAL actually slow down there to take that jump. And I think that might be a bit of a PTSD because the last time NEAL crashed completely into the wall and that killed his position.
Oh, is that the case? Yeah, maybe playing a little bit conservatively there, but you know, at least now, still in drafting range, 3rd place, takes a really nice inner line there. Actually able to work his way to 2nd as we're neck and neck here in the top 3 between SUNGBIN, Cosu, and NEAL.
The body fight is insane. They're bouncing off each other like pinballs. NEAL and Cosu, they keep colliding into each other, but once again, Cosu, he pushes NEAL out of the ideal line, but NEAL pushes SUNGBIN back all the way to 6th place. That was the biggest collision so far.
That's a big collision there for SUNGBIN, and a lot of momentum lost right now, and NEAL doesn't seem to mind at all. He sacrificed nothing to get that block off as he's back in 1st place here. This is a 1-lapper, so that finish line is not too far away as we enter these very difficult turns. Spell able to take the tight inner line there, able to pass NEAL. NEAL now falling to 4th place. Oh, bad collision there for NEAL, so he's out of the running for top 4. But Spell with a breakaway now, gonna pick up a track win.
Spell, that's a huge one now, solidifying his lead into 29 points. He was at 3rd place, only 3 points away from the 5th place in standing, which is Luning. So now, Spell's gonna have a nice lead for himself, maintaining a top 3.
Yeah, between Perfect and Luning now, it should become a little bit closer. And you know, we have our bottom 3 players, Summer, Cosu, and Chorong, not having the best performances so far. So really it kind of feels like the top 5 in this group are starting to separate themselves from the rest of the pack. As Spell with a nice time right there, 126. NEAL, that unfortunate collision in the final moments of that track costing him dearly, but yeah, look at this. Actually, that's a bigger gap than I had thought.
Yeah, this is where the gap grew.
Perfect 10 points now ahead of Luning.
And SUNGBIN and Perfect are tied right now for that 4th place spot. Technically, they're both considered 3rd place right now, so it's really interesting to see how the gap has really widened between 4th and 5th place. However, it's really close still between 1st and 2nd. NEAL at 34 points with Spell at 29 means Spell can definitely still take it home. NEAL needs at least another 1st place finish, followed by a 2nd place finish if he wants to end it off on the next 2 tracks.
I imagine we're probably going to get more than 2 tracks left here, as you know, NEAL, with how good his start has been, winning 3 out of the first 4 tracks, you just wonder whether that's repeatable in a lobby as competitive as this is. So we're getting ready to go into our next track. Keep in mind right now, SUNGBIN and Perfect tied in 3rd place at 25 points apiece. They're the cutoff. Luning, if he wants to get top 4 and advance out of this group, will need 10 more points at least to close the gap. So keep your eyes on Luning. He needs to get, if not first, then at least podium.
We have a fan coming in for Perfect saying he's really cool, and he honestly is. Also saying that he is perfection himself, really proving his name Perfect. And the fan for Luning, I will fire at you a laser beam that makes you play better kart rider.
Little teddy bear drawings too.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool to have such a packed audience here, so passionate about supporting their players. As we're getting ready to go to the next track, it is Village Boom Hill Tunnel. And here we go here on Boom Hill Tunnel. NEAL needing a 1st place and a 2nd place to send us home early today. Already out in 2nd, leading the pack in Luning. Lucky for him, right now in 1st, he needs a lot of points to start closing distance between himself and the qualification. Currently 10 points behind the 2 players tied for 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, the players in the top 4, they're all taking their own lines. As we see NEAL with the double collision, he falls all the way into 8th place off that.
Like a pinball.
Yeah. Off the walls, losing all momentum, but now it's the story for Luning and Perfect, and what a great opportunity for Luning. He really needs that 1st place finish to get 10 points, which would put him at 25 points, tied with SUNGBIN if SUNGBIN get no additional points.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy, actually. A lot of these players were on the precipice of qualifying, all fighting for top positions. In fact, all 3 of them in the top 3 positions. SUNGBIN and Perfect currently tied at 25 points, Luning at 15. Luning trying desperately to close the distance. SUNGBIN, he doesn't want to give up any ground though. Body blocking Luning to the best of his ability as we come into this shortcut. Oh, actually SUNGBIN getting body blocked there will collide with a crate, and so now it's going to be Perfect and Luning heading into the final finish line.
Yeah, now it's Cosu trying to look for the better lines than Perfect, but Perfect blocks him out beautifully, and that is going to be the 1st place for Perfect, 2nd for Cosu, Luning and SUNGBIN coming in 3rd and 4th.
All right, so Luning closing distance a little bit there on SUNGBIN, but SUNGBIN did finish right behind him, so gotta say, there's still a considerable gap there. Luning, I love the start from him, and you got the podium from this race, but we're gonna need more consistent performances out of him like this one if he wants to qualify for top 4.
Yeah, so Luning is definitely not gonna make it into the top 4 off of this track. However, it's a different story for Perfect, who managed to get 10 points here.
He's up to 35 now in 2nd place, right behind NEAL. So now you got to start thinking that we might only have 2 tracks left, with NEAL 13 points away from that 50, which, you know, closes the group out. And I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, was it 13 points? 15 points, excuse me, for Perfect there from closing this one out with the required 50. As we're getting ready to go into potentially one of the last couple of tracks here in the solo match as we move on to Desert Construction Chaos. Here
Here we go in round of 16, losers match, round number 7. Our players are really close right now, neck to neck. Luning really trying to break into that top 4. It's Spell and SUNGBIN tied for 3rd place.
Yeah, Luning 9 points behind each of them as they're tied at 29 apiece. And we might be going home early with only 2 tracks left, with NEAL right now already in pole position. And it's happened time and time again where if he gets into a spot like this one, where there's only a couple of racers really contesting him, NEAL has proven repeatedly that he can actually handle these situations. He's very good at keeping a small number of players from passing him. It's usually when there's a tight group following him behind that there's just too many angles you got to concern yourself with. And that's why you see him right now just continuing to consolidate his position here. If anything, it feels like that gap is getting wider between him, Summer, and Luning.
Yeah, and Luning, he really wants to be able to knock NEAL out of that 1st place and stop him from getting closer to that 50 points. Not only that, he's the only player from the bottom 4 that even has a chance to make it into top 4, as you see NEAL taking a collision into Summer, but it is only going to propel him forward moving into lap number 2.
Lap number 2 here on this straightaway. NEAL still in a commanding position. Summer, one of the bottom placers right now in this group, actually contesting top 3, so a nice performance from him so far in this track, and Luning's going to be happy that it's not one of those top 4 players that are ahead of him here.
Yeah, right now NEAL still maintaining that lead over Summer. Luning, he's fallen back quite behind the pack. Now he's sitting behind 4, 5, 6, 7.
Summer actually able to take the inner line, was able to hold on to 1st place for a moment there. We'll see if he can do it again, and in fact he can there. NEAL not able to deliver with the body blocks just right, but with a tight inner line, once again able to consolidate that 1st place, and now Luning and Chorong hot on their heels.
Yeah, Summer had some really great blocks there in NEAL, but NEAL was able to find the perfect line to be able to take over. Summer with the collision into the wall twice. Man. That's going to set him back all the way to 7th place, and now the story is all about NEAL, Chorong, and SUNGBIN. It's getting really close, and they got to stop NEAL if they want him to not get 10 points.
I feel like NEAL's going to get 1st place no matter what right now, unless SUNGBIN can pull off a miracle, but here on this straightaway, it will be NEAL picking up another 10 points, now only 3 points away from sending us home. 47 points on the board now for NEAL, but from Luning and better performance right now, he might be contesting top 4.
Yeah, Luning's going to be able to get, seems like 5 points off that, which is going to propel him to 25 points, which is unfortunately not close enough to that top 4 range. He's really running out of time here. NEAL really starting to set the race apart.
Another record here in solo speed mode for NEAL on Desert Construction Chaos. NEAL just really playing out of his mind. I think his 4th track win of the evening, if I'm not mistaken, is...
Wow.
Just some phenomenal stuff. And yeah, look at that. Spell and Luning now only 3 points separating them. Keep in mind that top 4, that is the cutoff between qualifying for the next match and going home, being eliminated from the solo match entirely.
Yeah, so right now, NEAL, he just needs to secure 3 points for himself, which can be done by getting 5th place or higher. So our eyes are on NEAL to see if he drops below that 5th place. While on the other hand, it's all about that last ticket punch-in between Spell and Luning, fighting for that 4th place spot. Luning is 3 points behind, so he's got to get all the points he can possibly in round number 8. That is going to be a Mine Gold Rush.
Potentially the last track here, as NEAL needs only a top 5 finish to send us home. Right now, Luning on the precipice of qualifying for the top 4. Spell only 3 points ahead of him, but Spell already in 1st place here on this track.
And NEAL is staying in that top 3. All he needs to do is stay in that top 5. So NEAL, he's saying everything right now that he wants to end it here. He's not going to allow another track to happen. Look at him taking the outer line.
That's some beautiful drifting there by NEAL. Even on the outer line, able to close the distance between himself, and now passing Spell, moving up there with Cosu is perfect. Seemingly out of nowhere, able to join them in the top 3, and now Luning. I mean, this is the main story right now, is if Luning is going to be able to secure 3 more points to reach that top 4, or if Spell is going to be able to hold on. Right now, these two are neck and neck.
Luning, he definitely gotta do whatever he can to keep Spell blocked out, but it's actually Luning who hits the wall, and he's gonna go down all the way into 8th place. Now he's gotta play the catch-up.
Yeah, he has to play the catch-up game because it feels like this might be the last track unless we have a hiccup there by NEAL.
Luning again, he drops into 8th place, and now the gap is becoming too large as we have Spell still in that 5th place, being able to keep up with the pack, while NEAL, he's all the way up in 1st place.
Yeah, Spell doing a great job right now. If he continues on this path, it will be his ticket to advance to the next round. And you see the gap right now between NEAL and the 3 players following him. They're barely out of drafting range, trying their best to close the distance.
Oh my god, Luning! He's making it up there somehow with the recovery coming into 5th place now. He is keeping up with the top 4 pack, while Spell, he fell down all the way to 8th place. This could be Luning's comeback angle. He just needs to maintain this into the finish line.
Oh, a little bit of a collision there for Luning. He just needs to finish with Spell right behind him. I don't know if that's actually going to be enough points.
It's not enough.
It's a 2-point gap, so NEAL with another victory here is going to finish the round with far in excess of 50 points. And I mean, I don't want to do math on air, but I think it's only 1 point separating Spell and Luning, with Spell ahead in top 4, so that might be the end here of Luning's run. Wait to see as
yeah, so
NEAL clapping to himself in one of the most conservative. I mean, he just won like 5 tracks, dude.
Yeah, Luning, he's definitely 1 point behind Spell. It's going to be 28 points versus 29. So
it's a heartbreaker there for Luning, but I mean,
position, man.
Yeah.
Coming in at 5th place, it wasn't enough.
That's a heartbreaker.
Spell, he manages to close it off in 4th place with 29 points. NEAL having such a large gap for himself at 57 points. This was a really close one.
Yeah, and you know, as sad as it is for Luning, I'm also happy to see Spell advance to the top 4. This is one of the rookies that's showing a lot of potential. One of the players who is truly ending his day in a great way. And what a great day it has been for him on ROX Esports. They had that big comeback victory earlier against Liiv SANDBOX and against NEAL's team earlier today. Now in the solo match, Spell just by a hair, by 1 point, qualifying in the top 4, will advance. These 4 players on your screen now, NEAL, SUNGBIN, Perfect, and Spell, they will play in one more group to decide whether they will join our other grand finalists. As we're coming towards the end here in the solo match, and you know, you can see it in every single race, it just continuously gets more competitive.
Yep, and just that 1 point difference, eliminating Luning and sending him home, is really heartbreaking. Not only him, Cosu and Chorong and Summer are going to be joining him, as now Spell, Perfect, SUNGBIN, and NEAL, they're the ones to move on to the round of 16 final match. And honestly, I must say, what a journey for Perfect. He's got that Guangdong Freaks jersey, but he's actually not playing for Guangdong Freaks. So he's the only player here today without a team to be able to move on and have a chance to continue in the solo match.
It's been a great tournament overall for a lot of these guys, and of course we focus a lot on Spell and Luning. You know, Spell, the rookie coming in here, trying to qualify for that grand finals. Of course, one more round to go, but I mean, major props to NEAL. That was, I think, 5 track wins in total there, securing 1st place, and really not a lot of maps. I mean, that's just phenomenal stuff out of NEAL. I think that's gonna, you know, remove a little bit of the salt of the wound from their loss to ROX Esports earlier today, and NEAL's got to be feeling really good about this one.
Yeah, NEAL's definitely the one that made things speed up, because if you look at SUNGBIN, he was at 40 points.
Yeah.
He would have needed to get another 1st place finish to end it off on another track. So if not for NEAL, you know, Luning is kind of there thinking, man, I could have had more chances and time to try to catch up, but no shot in doing that. Definitely if you're NEAL, you're not interested in giving opportunities for your opponents.
Yeah, 17-point lead there in his group is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of the larger points discrepancies that we've had so far here in the KDL solo matches between 1st and 2nd is NEAL just showing that he's unfazed from the earlier loss to ROX Esports. Excuse me, I couldn't speak for a second there.
No problem.
And yeah, coming through in the clutch, and you know, a lot of global fans, myself included, would love to see NEAL qualify for the grand finals, that top 8, to decide who is going to be our KDL preseason solo match champion. And yeah, it's just been a great day of Kartrider Esports.
Yeah, absolutely one of the best we've had. With the team matches we've had, we started the day off with Guangdong Freaks and Finale Esports, and I must say, this one was a little bit one-sided. Speed going 3-0 in the favor of Guangdong Freaks, as well as item mode 3-1, so there was no sweat there.
Yeah, speed, no surprise there for the Freaks. I mean, these guys are truly speed freaks. They're clutch and ace matches, and it feels like they win almost every single speed mode. And they might have actually won every single speed mode. I would need to check the statistics we have on hand. And a little disappointing that Finale and Banana weren't able to make it closer there in item mode, but when you're up against the Freaks, I mean, you just kind of take your L and you move on, right? They're the best in the world right now. But the main game for me today was this one right here, ROX versus Liiv SANDBOX. ROX until this point hadn't won a single item set. Liiv SANDBOX was the best item team of the entire KDL preseason. They still are after this, but ROX just with a stunning upset, able to win 3-2 in item mode to force the ace match. And then Jung, I mean, if you missed the ace match with Jung's final moves, you gotta go back and watch that one. It was so good.
Yeah, Jung, the ace match killer, coming in from KRPL, showing himself as the ace match killer. Even here in the KDL, he has 5 wins under his belt now in the ace match in a row. And those 5 wins all just contributed to his team's wins. It's all Jung in that second place position.
Yeah, if he had lost those, the team would have lost. I mean, that's why it's the ace match, right? So him coming clutch, just 5-0 is just phenomenal for them. It's the reason why ROX Esports now moves into second place with their victory over Liiv SANDBOX as we look at the standings. The KWANGDONG Freaks still undefeated up there in first place. ROX Esports, Liiv SANDBOX, and Aura will join them in the postseason. It is assured now. And that's a fantastic top 4. I think the storylines here, the potential matches, you know, I don't really care which day I'm casting in the top 4 and which teams I get, because I guarantee it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, we still have some story left with Liiv SANDBOX. They have one more match to play, so there's Aura. And if Liiv SANDBOX manages to win their match, also Aura, if they win, they can still shake up the rankings a bit, because ROX, they're at 5 wins and 2 losses with a not the best set record or the round record.
I mean, the fact that they're in second place right now and they have a negative win rate overall on tracks just kind of goes to show what Jung brings to the table there in the ace matches, and also kind of, it hurts to say it, but like it shows how unbalanced this team has been over the course of the KDL preseason, not being able to succeed in item mode up until this point. But today they beat the item mode masters in the Liiv SANDBOX. So they're showing a lot of promise. They're showing that they have improved at that facet of their game a lot. And, you know, it's great to see. It's very promising for them.
They've definitely balanced themselves in the team ROX, but in the solo matches, we saw Cool and Nuck and Hyunsu and Insu being able to take over that winner's match, going all the way to the finals. Now it is going to be SUNGBIN and Perfect Spill and NEAL moving on today from the losers match to get a chance to fight against Sting, Jimin, World, and Speed.
And that will be the last match of the round of 16. 4 of those players will join Cool, Nuck, Hyunsu, and Insu in the grand finals. And that should be another phenomenal race. I mean, the talent at the top of Kart Rider Drift Esports is just so huge.
Right.
I mean, it feels almost monumental. And, you know, as we get ready to move on to the postseason, as we get ready to move on into, actually hold that thought here, as we get a quick preview of our next matches on Wednesday. We will have 3 more team matches, of course. Solo matches are on the weekends. That will be Finale Esports versus Liiv SANDBOX, Aura versus the KWANGDONG Freaks, and Planet versus Reboot. Should be another excellent day of Kart Rider Drift Esports.
So what's really interesting is that Finale, they can be the one to prevent Liiv SANDBOX from finishing second, while Aura and KWANGDONG Freaks, they're just really fighting it out amongst themselves. Aura trying to get that second place finish as well. For KWANGDONG Freaks, on the other hand, because they have 6 wins secured under the belt so far, they're pretty much guaranteed that first place standing.
I think they're mathematically guaranteed their first place standings, as it's been an incredible preseason for them so far. So much great Kart Rider Drift content left here. And guys, that's going to be it for us today. We will see you again on Wednesday here at the KDL Global channel. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.